Chapter 1229. Zhang Xiaobao led the 8 people and continued to move forward. He disliked tracking people at night the most. If it was a chase, it would not be a problem. However, if he brought along a hunting dog and used a flashlight and a torch to swing back and forth, the person being chased would have a hard time at night. First of all, the physical exhaustion was very high. Although they could see the light, they were always afraid of being chased. In addition, the constant barking of the dog would further deplete their physical strength. At the same time, the psychological pressure was not small, and the body heat was draining too quickly. However, tracking people was troublesome. Without a light, they could not see the tracks, but with a light, they were afraid of being discovered by the other party, not to mention bringing a dog. In the middle of the night, in a place where there were no people, suddenly hearing a dog barking, anyone would have to think carefully about what was going on. I hope we can get some useful clues this time. I have always felt that he was bribed. His pearls were looked at by a jewelry shop, and they said that there is a high possibility that he belongs to the West, which is Duosher. Zhang Xiaobao saw through the tracks that Lu Feng did not know how to anti-reconnaissance, otherwise, he would not have left such obvious tracks, unless he knew too much and then created a false impression. The obvious branches were broken, which was clearly to tell the trackers that he passed by here. Therefore, Zhang Xiaobao was very relaxed. He lowered the flashlight and said to the person who was closest to him. This person also lowered his voice and said, "Young master, if he is found to have colluded with the enemy, how should we deal with him?" "That depends on how he colluded with the enemy. I am very puzzled now. You say that he is an ordinary person, not as powerful as the people of the Chen family in Tonghua. If he wants to collude with the enemy, what can he provide to the enemy? If it is information that many people can get, would Duosher give him gold coins and pearls? That gold coin is unique to Duosher and is very valuable. Under normal circumstances, it is used by a special group of people. Occasionally, it will fall into the hands of the common people and is very precious. However, the gold of our dynasty cannot be used, and can only be used as a special currency. Therefore, Lu Feng must have been valued by Duosher. What did he betray? To be honest, when I saw his actions at the gambling house, I analyzed it a little and felt that even if he sold himself, he wouldn't be worth that pearl. Don't you think it's interesting? Zhang Xiaobao said in boredom. Then, he saw a mark and almost laughed out loud. It was actually the mark of Lu Feng accidentally lying on the ground. There was a vine in front of him. It was obvious that Lu Feng had tripped over it. With this level of skill, he dared to take action in the middle of the night. Furthermore, he was valued by Duo Cannibal. Zhang Xiaobao felt that there was either something wrong with his brain or Duo Cannibal's head had smashed into a wall. The person accompanying Zhang Xiaobao also saw the obvious signs of lying on the ground, so he covered his mouth in silence. After a moment of silence, he asked, "Little Gongzi, do you think that he might have told others about your arrival in Jiannan?" After saying this, he said to himself, "I don't think it's possible. We came with great fanfare to attract the attention of the Duo Eaters, and then let them transfer their troops over so that their other side of the defense would be empty and provide support for our landing operations. Move back a little, don't speak blindly." The person behind the person pulled him to the back and took his place. He turned to Zhang Xiaobao and said, "I think that Lu Feng must have obtained some kind of technology and shared it with the Duo Eaters. The Duo Eaters found the technology to be extremely useful, so they rewarded him handsomely." What kind of technology could have attracted the attention of the Duo Eaters? All right, don't speak anymore. Just follow me. I'm about to be misled by you all. If it were up to me, I would say that he has sold himself. Zhang Xiaobao turned around and nudged the head of the person behind him. That person was too close, so close that they were almost touching him. The person behind chuckled and fell silent. They had always been very casual with Zhang Xiaobao. As long as it did not involve serious matters, they even dared to joke with Zhang Xiaobao, and even tease Zhang Xiaobao. The atmosphere in the inner courtyard of the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family had always been so relaxed. Of course, if they were in danger, they would also rush over and stand at the forefront, using their own lives to protect the main house. It was also because of this that Zhang Xiaobao occasionally joked with them. What else could you ask of someone who would die for you at any time? The 9 people followed the trail in such a relaxed and happy mood. After crossing the river and crossing the mountain, when the moon was clearly above their heads, they finally found more footprints in front of them. These footprints clearly did not appear from the path they came from, but from another path. Then, these footprints converged in the same direction as Lu Feng's footprints. Zhang Xiaobao deduced 2 points from this. The first was that the other party had always had a secret hiding place in this area, and the footprints were left when they were delivering supplies or delivering information. The second was that Lu Feng had agreed to meet them at a place they were familiar with, and they had only arrived today. At this time of the year, the vegetation was lush, and if not for the short interval between the footprints, it would be impossible to tell which one it was. Unless it had rained 2 days ago, and these people had come before and after the rain, then the footprints would be different. Now, Zhang Xiaobao did not have the advanced equipment to take samples and analyze them, and it was not worth it. To deal with the current duo Qi, there was no need to spy on them. Unless their military strength increased, they could solve many problems on the battlefield that could only be solved in other aspects. As they continued forward, Zhang Xiaobao suddenly made a few low sounds from his throat. The 8 people following behind him immediately stopped moving, no longer speaking as casually as before, and turned off their flashlights. Zhang Xiaobao had already heard the sound of people talking, so he took out his binoculars to look carefully. He frowned but did not see any light. It seemed that the other party was very vigilant. Zhang Xiaobao thought for a while, and then made some very soft sounds from his throat. If one was not close enough to hear it, one would think that it was an owl calling. Even if one were to find a zoologist who specialized in raising owls, after hearing Zhang Xiaobao's voice, they would definitely not think that it was made by other animals. Zhang Xiaobao was at this level, or else he would not be able to casually imitate other people's speech. After a few simple goo-goo sounds, the 8 people behind Zhang Xiaobao spread out and carefully spread out in all directions. Zhang Xiaobao waited for a while, but did not hear any movement from his own people, so he was sure that the other party had not sent out any sentries. Shaking his head, Zhang Xiaobao felt that playing this game with the enemy was really bullying them. He did not know what the enemy was thinking. Did they think that just because they ran into the mountains, they could not arrange for sentries? If his own intelligence personnel were like this, they would not be able to graduate. Since no one was on alert, Zhang Xiaobao wasn't worried. He followed the direction of the voice and quietly made his way over. The closer he got, the clearer the sound of the voice became. Moving forward and turning a corner, Zhang Xiaobao finally found the light. It was very weak, as if there was a cave in front of him. He did not know if it was a man-made cave or a natural formation. Zhang Xiaobao bent down, reached out, and touched the grass in front of him. There were no other tall trees nearby, so Zhang Xiaobao lifted his foot and stepped on the place he had just touched. Moving back and forth, Zhang Xiaobao approached the entrance of the cave step by step. Using the weak light inside, he looked around and chose a place where it would be difficult for others to pee. Zhang Xiaobao sneaked over. He did not want to be discovered or be drenched in urine. Relaxing a little, he focused on his ears and listened carefully to the conversation inside. Lu Feng's voice was very recognizable, even if he was speaking Arabic. Zhang Xiaobao could tell from the quality and tone of Lu Feng's voice. Lu Feng's foreign language learning was really bad. He was clearly speaking Arabic with local characteristics. If he were to be the translator, he would be beaten to death. Xiaobao listened attentively. He knew Arabic from the start, but some of his vocabulary was different from what he had learned in the past. Even his pronunciation was different. Hence, when he was considering fighting polyphagia, he specially learned it. Zhang Xiaobao did not know how long it was, but he knew that they had not talked about the main topic yet. It was Lu Feng who had been toasting, and the other party would praise the wine. How can wine not taste good? You can't drink it normally. Whoever dares to drink it will lose their life. So Lu Feng came out to buy wine, especially for the followers who are not allowed to drink. Did he rely on this to get pearls and gold coins? Zhang Xiaobao thought. If that was the case, then it was not considered colluding with the enemy, and there should not be any serious business. It should be known that in polyphagy, No matter how much gold coins they had, they could not buy wine. At this moment, Zhang Xiaobao thought that Lu Feng was a talent. Selling combs to monks, selling ice fruits to Eskimos, and selling sand in the Sahara Desert were all talents. But to make a man believe that his other half was a male monkey, and to provide things that the followers did not allow, this was a great talent. Back in Tubo, throwing pig dung and pig innards at other people's place was too kind. Looking at Lu Feng, he was definitely more skilled. Zhang Xiaobao continued to listen. It was probably because Polyphagy had not drunk for a long time, so his alcohol tolerance was poor. When he spoke, Lu Feng's pronunciation was more authentic, and the other party had deviated from the dialect to some extent. It's decided. If you don't make any big mistakes, when you come back, I'll give you an official position to specialize in diplomacy. Zhang Xiaobao had already made a promise to Lu Feng in his heart. If he did not use such a capable person, he would be guilty of the crime of hindering the integration of the world's races. Lu Feng, what good stuff did you bring this time? One of the cannibals spoke up. Zhang Xiaobao took a deep breath and began to frown. Lu Feng had indeed obtained useful information, and it seemed to be related to the real thing. It's nothing important. This time, I brought the manufacturing process and blueprints of cannons. I'll show them to you first. When the time comes, you can consider what kind of price to offer. Lu Feng's words rang out, and Zhang Xiaobao's eyes narrowed. He wondered where Lu Feng had obtained the manufacturing process of cannons. This was something that he had always been in charge of, and the civil servants of the Ministry of Works could not even think of getting involved. Moreover, his father was in charge. Where did something go wrong? Zhang Xiaobao heard the sound of paper flipping. Then, Polyphagy's voice rang out again. This is different from the blueprint you brought last time. Last time, it was a grenade. This time, it's a cannon. Did you guys make the grenade? Lu Feng was speaking now. We didn't. We did according to what you said, and also compared it to the blueprint you drew. However, there was no explosion at all. There were only a lot of sparks coming from that place, similar to fireworks, Polyphagy said. How is that possible? You definitely didn't understand the main problem with the grenade. First, there needs to be something to store the grayish-black powder in the fireworks. Then, you need to leave a spark on the fireworks, light it up, and throw the grenade. It will explode with a bang, right? Lu Feng said in a tough tone. Yes. When we came into contact with the Tang army in the north and had a small battle, we picked up a few grenades that did not explode. It was indeed as you said. However, we made them and then put in the gunpowder of the fireworks. We found that it was useless. Once we lit it up, it would spew out fire from the small hole. It was very beautiful, but it just didn't explode. Polyphagy's voice was full of grievance. I see. What they used was gunpowder, and the powder you used was fireworks. You put it in the iron, so of course it wouldn't explode. However, too many fireworks can hurt people, so after you get the fireworks, you have to take them apart. Don't put the powder in the iron, understand? Lu Feng seemed to be very patient as he continued to explain the theory. Now that you understand, what should we put it in? Polyphagy asked. Put it in the paper. Iron is too strong. If you put the powder in the paper, won't it explode? Lu Feng seemed to be very impatient. It made people feel that he was complaining that Polyphagy was too stupid. Yes. Put it in the paper, Polyphagy said. Zhang Xiaobao suddenly felt a stomachache. The gunpowder of the fireworks was originally wrapped in the paper. Instead of taking out the gunpowder and putting it in the paper, it was better to just throw the fireworks. At least the craftsmanship of the fireworks was more authentic, and the quality was good. The explosion rate was close to 100%. If it was Polyphagy's handiwork, it would be good enough if half of them could explode. The rest would either be put in Qi Hua or misfired. Why did I ask you to rewrap it in paper? There's a problem here. As if he felt that there was something wrong with what he said, Lu Feng's voice sounded again. What problem? You must be very curious. It turns out that the smaller the fireworks in the Tang Empire are, the less powerful the explosion is. When you redo it, take out the powder in 10 fireworks and roll it in the same paper. Won't it be powerful? Yes, we will definitely do it when we go back. Now, let's talk about the cannon. Why did the cannon you drew have 2 holes? A few Sundays ago, the cannon we saw at your side had 1 hole. From the sound of it, Polyphagy was tongue-tied. It seemed that the wine was delicious. That's a good question. Why are there 2 holes on the left and right? When your side fought with the Tang Empire army a few times ago, they saw 1 hole. It involves a new kind of technology. You have seen fireworks, right? The kind that is arranged in rows. Once it's lit, it can fly up into the sky one after another. Have you seen that before? Lu Feng's tone changed again. Zhang Xiaobao was very familiar with it and missed it. When he first started learning how to cheat, he used this kind of tone. His voice was sticky and magnetic. It was said that he had been a technical official for more than 20 years and had always been at the department level to have such a voice. This was because when one reached the deputy department level, one would appear very gentle. When one reached the department level, one would be full of energy and gentleness. Only those department level officials who had been in technical positions for a long time would speak like this, making people feel that they were very confident, authoritative, and unquestionable. For this reason, he had practiced for 3 months before he reached the standard. This was because he had enough talent. He didn't know how long Lu Feng had practiced for. To be honest, Zhang Xiaobao had never seen a double-hole cannon before. He had seen a double-hole autocannon and a double-hole hunting rifle. If he had to talk about a double-hole cannon, it was fine. A double-hole self-propelled cannon was like a tank, but it was 2 up and down, not 1 left and 1 right. Now, the Tang Empire hadn't created a cannon that was parallel to the left and right, and they wouldn't create one either. That was just too idle. Just as Zhang Xiaobao was thinking, a voice came from inside again. I've seen it before. What kind of technology is it? If you want to understand what kind of technology it is, you first have to know that the Ministry of Works has a special research department. It's called the New Combined Power Gunpowder Weapon Connection System Autonomous Control Long-Range Strike Killing Technology Institute. Yes, most people don't know that there is such a department. Even those who have heard of it occasionally definitely don't understand the main function of this department. What does it do? Why does it do this? What kind of problems were discovered in the process of doing it, and what kind of technical channels were used to solve them? Lu Feng's voice began to become aggressive, high-pitched, urgent, and powerful. Zhang Xiaobao instantly liked Lu Feng, the kind of like that of admiration. His words were really too beautiful, and he had a bright future. If he had known that this was the case, he wouldn't have won his pearls yesterday. It would have been fine even if he had given Xiaobei's pearls to him. After all, Xiaobei didn't lack those lousy pearls. Duoshe was clearly dumbfounded and couldn't say anything for a while. Lu Feng very understandingly continued, the series of problems I just mentioned, in the entire Tang Empire, you won't be able to find a second person who understands the situation to tell you. Come, I'll explain it to you in detail. Bring the blueprint over, and you come over too, by my side. Okay, pay attention, don't be distracted. What I hate most is when other people are thinking about other things when I'm talking. Now, follow the dotted line that my hand is drawing. Look here, there are 2 muzzles, but look carefully, isn't there a connecting hole in the middle of the 2 muzzles? Why is there this small hole? Do you think that fireworks also have small holes in them, and then they are connected to each other and ignited one by one? Let me tell you, you're wrong to think so, very wrong, very wrong. If that's really the case, then the people in the research institute are all trash, rice buckets. This hole is empty, let me tell you, it's empty, it's always been empty. Why? Why is it empty? It involves the aerodynamic linkage of inhalation and exhalation, it doesn't exist independently. If it exists independently, do you think the research institute has any value? New Combined Power Gunpowder Weapon Connection System Autonomous Control Long-Range Strike Killing Technology Institute. Think carefully about the name of this research institute. Did you notice the problem? There are a few key words in its name, one is joint, one is loading, and one is autonomous. Of course, the most important words are long range, strike, and killing. Think carefully, what are they trying to do? What are they trying to do? Tell me. They want to create even more powerful weapons to kill us, Do Renjio said with a trembling voice, slightly sober. Yes, and no, to kill you is simply killing you. What I want to say is that they want to use a low price to kill you, and they want to kill you efficiently. Do you understand efficiency? Alright, Joe Ren, I won't say any more. Actually, I really don't want to hand over the technology to you. After all, I'm from the great Tang. But, how did they treat me? As a technician, I don't even get paid as much as a pork seller. What do you call this? Last time, you said that you arranged for troops to be stationed at the border. How are the arrangements? You must remember, don't be within the range of their cannons, and build more wooden and grass houses around your camp so that they can't tell which one to blow up. I have an irreconcilable enmity with them, and I can't take revenge myself, so I have to rely on you. How are you doing now? Let me analyze it for you. Lu Feng seemed to be persuading them to drink again. Take a look and help us analyze it. Don't worry, we remember what the great Tang did to you, and will help you take revenge. I'll draw it for you first. We're still sending troops to the border, and the logistics are also moving to the border. It's all here, and here. Good wine, you won't be able to drink it when you go back. Do Renjio said a lot, and then he kept praising the wine. It's not easy for me to come here. Let me say first, I don't want gold coins. That thing is only worth a few hundred copper coins, and it's not worth much. I need to spend money to get the technology. Yes, this paper money will do. You still have a way to make money. I don't want pearls, it's not easy to sell, and it's easy to arouse suspicion. I'm thinking for you. What? You're asking where Xiao Bei and Xiao Bao are now? I'm a technician, can I help you find them? Yes, they're in Yizhou, and I heard that they change places every 2 hours. They're afraid of assassinations, so don't let me go to the restaurant. Now, the restaurant is closed to outsiders. How about this? I'll tell you one last time. I'm not in charge of finding out their exact whereabouts, but I'll tell you something. The day after tomorrow, they'll hold a military parade 12 li west of Yizhou City. Take your men there. Give me some more money. I'm afraid that your ambush will fail, and they'll find out in advance. Then, they'll increase the security and search the city. Yes, they're searching now, but it's not too strict. It's not too strict for me, but I'm afraid that if you're exposed, they'll be even stricter with me. Be careful, be very careful. Give me 600 strings of coins? Fine, you don't have money either. If I didn't have a grudge against them, don't expect me to give you information with this little money. As for wine, I'll bring you some next time. Don't drink too much. You can't hold your liquor well, and drinking too much will delay things. I'm leaving, and you can continue drinking. Ah, my conscience, you're condemned, aren't you? Sometimes, I'll be scared awake in my dreams. After all, I've betrayed my country. Fine, don't comfort me, and don't send me off. Following Lu Feng's series of words, the cave was quiet at first, and then footsteps were heard. Zhang Xiaobao saw Lu Feng swaying out of the cave and then walking in the direction of Canma. Zhang Xiaobao quietly followed beside him. After Lu Feng walked 100 steps, he suddenly stopped and looked back. Seeing that no one was following him, he let out a long sigh, exhaled, and walked a few hundred steps forward. He laughed to himself and murmured, "You're so gullible. Damn, I have to find a way to pass the news to Xiao Bao and the others. I've done a meritorious service, and it's a great meritorious service. Damn, I'll show those who look down on me that I, Lu Feng, am also capable and can make contributions." Zhang Xiaobao, who was nearby, took a deep breath, pursed his lips and nodded. Chapter 1230. Lu Feng left without any hindrance. He also did not notice that he was being followed. When he rode back to the main road, he met Zhang Xiaobao by chance. Zhang Xiaobao rode alone, saying that he wanted to enjoy the scenery at night. Lu Feng thought that Zhang Xiaobao should go to the medical center in the city to have a good look. The bodyguards who followed Zhang Xiaobao disguised themselves as a temporary business bodyguard team. They wanted to see if they could get any work, so they also met Lu Feng and Zhang Xiaobao by chance. When there were more people, it would be lively. Lu Feng felt that it was the most reliable. He did not want to walk alone at night, and he especially did not like to eat the dry biscuits that he carried with him. The temporary team of bodyguards warmly invited him and Xiaobao to have a meal together. What's more, it was a stew that was still warm. There was no other way. When they came, they didn't prepare enough, so it was impossible for them to prepare other dishes. Brother Lu, it seems that you have finished your business. When you return to the city, come to my place when you have time. I opened a new place that sells stationery. See if there is anything that you like. I will give you the capital. Xiaobao had a good impression of Lu Feng, so he warmly said to Lu Feng while they were on the road after dinner. Lu Feng was very surprised. He did not expect that this person who liked to enjoy the scenery was actually a businessman. When they met before, he seemed to have said that he was an official. Could it be that all the officials now started to do business? Lu Feng nodded in confusion. Then he shook his head and said, I can go to your place to have a look, but not to buy anything. I am not a scholar. Is your stationery store specialized in selling the 4 treasures of the study? Zhang Xiaobao smiled under the light of the team's torches and explained, more than that. The 4 treasures of the study store sell a lot of things, but I sell more. What do you have? Tell me roughly. Lu Feng was interested. He also knew that the 4 treasures of the study were not only the ink, paper, and inkstone. There were many other things, such as water drops for dripping ink on the inkstone, pen holders for holding brushes, and so on. Most of the shops nowadays were about the same, but from what the other party said, it seemed like there was something even better. He didn't know if he could use it. Zhang Xiaobao had already made arrangements for Lu Feng. When he heard Lu Feng's question, he nodded and said, there are indeed a lot of things. If I were to tell you all of them, I wouldn't be able to finish them all by tomorrow. In addition to buying things commonly used by scholars, my shop also sells things used by craftsmen. There's a horizontal ruler. It's a tool to see if a flat surface is flat or not. You know how to build a house, right? You need a string. Mine is attached to a flat surface. There's a small bubble in the middle. The bubble is in a kind of water. As long as the surface is uneven, the bubble will lean to one side. It's very useful. Lu Feng had never even heard of the things that Zhang Xiaobao mentioned, let alone seeing them. His eyes revealed a curious look as he asked, apart from this thing, what else is there? Yes. For example, the tool caliper. It's a ruler with a small gadget on one end. I call it a vernier caliper. It's very convenient to measure the inner and outer diameters of an object. My caliper is also very accurate. It's made of good materials. You can use it not only to measure things, but also to draw pictures. Zhang Xiaobao continued. He had overheard Lu Feng's conversation with the duo cannibals. They had talked about the blueprints for the cannons. Moreover, it was a double-holed cannon. There was also some data. It seemed that Lu Feng had some knowledge of this. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been easy to trick them. No matter where Lu Feng learned it from, at least it showed that he had a good foundation. In that case, he would give him a set of tools. It wasn't necessary for him to use this set of tools to do something earth-shattering. It was just to give him a job. Sure enough, Lu Feng was very happy when he heard that he could draw pictures. He hesitated and said, is there really such a thing? How about wood? Is it expensive? How do you take care of it? It wasn't easy to pretend to be a technician. Lu Feng had unknowingly asked as a technician. Wood. I have wooden rulers, but most of them are used by ordinary people. Vernier calipers are made of stainless steel. I'll give you the cost price, 20 copper coins. If it was someone else, I wouldn't sell it. It's difficult to maintain it. The caliper is very accurate. It can't come into contact with water, salt, or vinegar. It also can't be maintained when the air is too humid. But Brother Lu, you don't have to worry. When you come to my shop, you can look at other things. I'll give you a set of tools specially used for maintenance. I still have a telescope. It's very useful. Zhang Xiaobao's shop hadn't opened yet, but there was no need to rush. Someone in the group had secretly gone to the back of the shop to report. Now, there were probably people in the city looking for a place. Although it was already midnight, the procedures were still smooth. Even if they needed the seal of the provincial governor would still get up. Zhang Xiaobao said it casually, but Lu Feng didn't feel relaxed at all. He was already very surprised by the caliper. Was stainless steel something that ordinary people could have? And it was only 20 copper coins. What was even more bizarre was the telescope. He had heard of this thing before. It could be used to see the scenery from far away. However, ordinary people definitely couldn't get it. In an instant, Lu Feng felt that he had encountered a swindler. It was just like how he had swindled Duo Cannibal. He didn't expect that this chef, businessman, or whatnot, was also a swindler. Lu Feng was unhappy. After a moment of silence, he slightly urged the horse to go faster. This was a way to express his dissatisfaction. Zhang Xiaobao didn't seem to notice it. He was still talking to Lu Feng. I still have the microscope used by the medical school. It's not very accurate, but it's still okay. It can be used to observe sections. Do you know section? For example, if you want to see what's inside a leaf, you can cut it open and put it between two pieces of glass. Then, you can put some other things on it and take a look under the microscope. You can see very clearly. I also have a set of drawing tools in my shop. No matter if you want to draw a square or a circle, it can be done in the blink of an eye. Also, you can add different kinds of pencils. When you have time, you can use them to draw sketches. You should have seen them before, right? As Lu Feng listened to Zhang Xiaobao, he forgot that he was in a situation where he was being swindled. He nodded subconsciously. Suddenly, he reacted and revealed a cold smile. He cooperated and asked, "Do you have a more precise scale with you? They can be used to weigh very small things." You've asked the right person. Yes, it's even more accurate than the ones used to make medicinal herbs. There are quite a number of weights. Let me tell you this. As long as you want, you can buy them from my shop to make anything you see on the market. Whether it's a blowtorch, glass test tubes of all shapes and sizes, or chemical agents controlled by the Ministry of Works, I have everything you need. Zhang Xiaobao puffed out his chest. He seemed very confident. The enthusiasm on his face didn't change. Okay. Lu Feng faintly said these two words and then stopped talking. He treated Xiaobao as a dishonest person. They had only met twice, and he even said that he was looking at the scenery outside. How could he lie to someone he met? Are those things that you said you can have? Brother Lu, do you not believe me? Zhang Xiaobao asked. I believe you. If Brother Zhang says you have it, I will believe you. If you say that you have a pistol now, I will believe you. Lu Feng's tone was obviously not right. Zhang Xiaobao didn't care and smiled. It will be dawn when we go back. Let's speed up and get to the place in the morning. Brother Lu will know then. Okay, I will wait. Lu Feng sped up. Zhang Xiaobao began to talk with Lu Feng about other things. He talked about the scenery of the places he had been to, the products and the culture. Anyway, he said everything that could be said, as if he knew everything. Therefore, Lu Feng was under a lot of pressure. On one hand, he thought that Zhang Xiaobao was a liar. On the other hand, he listened carefully when Zhang Xiaobao talked, because many of the things that came out of Zhang Xiaobao's mouth seemed to be true. When the sky started to brighten, Lu Feng was very suspicious. If Brother Zhang, who was chattering non-stop, continued to talk to him for a while, he wondered if he would get an illness in his head. It was really too torturous. At this time, Zhang Xiaobao finally stopped talking. He had secretly taken medicine to soothe his throat twice. In fact, Zhang Xiaobao had a purpose in saying these words. He felt that Lu Feng was angry in his heart. It could be said that he was sulking or ambitious, but the target of his anger was obviously the people in his village who looked down on him in the past. This was not good. It would make people become extreme. Usually, they would not have much contact with things. Spending all their time in anger was not good for the body. Telling him about the outside world would broaden his horizons and broaden his mind. When he sees the things in the stationery store again, she believed that after some time, he would realize how foolish he was in a fit of pique in the past. When he was alone in the house, he would feel that the scenery in front of him was not good. Then, he would open the window and look at the more beautiful scenery outside. When the team returned to Izhou City, it had been 30 hours since Zhang Xiaobao came out. Lu Feng looked sleepy, but Zhang Xiaobao and the guards were better. After all, they had received training and could cope with the current situation. "Ah, you're back. Brother Lu, do you want to have breakfast together?" Zhang Xiaobao invited. Lu Feng wanted to sleep now, so he was not in the mood to eat. Hearing that, he shook his head. "Since Brother Lu doesn't want to eat, I won't eat either. Come to my place first, look at the things, and then sleep for a while." Zhang Xiaobao invited again. At the same time, he pointed in front of them. There was a sign with the words "Magical Stationery Store" written on it. Lu Feng looked in the direction Zhang Xiaobao pointed and was stunned. When he came out yesterday, he remembered very clearly that there was no such store. It turned out that the store was selling grains. Did he go to the wrong place? Not only was he surprised, but the people who came to buy grains in the morning were also stunned. They were used to having a grain store in this place. How did it change overnight? "Brother Lu, do you want to have a look?" Zhang Xiaobao invited again. Lu Feng was stupefied. He followed Zhang Xiaobao to the door. When they got off the horse, the door was open from the inside. A man dressed like a manservant came out and said to Zhang Xiaobao, "Boss, you're back." I'm back. Do your work well. Brother Lu, please." Zhang Xiaobao raised his hand and invited Lu Feng, who was still in a stupefied state, into the store. There were many glass counters in the store, in which were some of the things Zhang Xiaobao mentioned on the way. Lu Feng walked over and picked up the telescope in the most conspicuous position. He raised it to his eyes and then his eyes widened. He asked Zhang Xiaobao, "Brother Zhang, do you know people from the Zhang family and the Wang family?" Chapter 1231. Just as he asked this question, Lu Feng suddenly put down his binoculars and rushed to the door. He closed the door with 2 loud bangs. His eyes flickered as he picked up the latch and quickly locked the door. He turned around and said to Zhang Xiaobao, Do you know what you are doing? I don't care if you open a shop to make money, but you can't sell things that you shouldn't sell. Don't think that you can do whatever you want because you know their family. Can you sell binoculars? Can you? Also, look at the things you have here, look at how exquisite they are. If you sell them, not in case, there will definitely be other enemies who will buy them. You want to reduce the technology gap between us. You are more hateful than the people who directly sell strategic materials to them. You should be arrested and shot, put on the Vermilion Bird Avenue. I sell stationery. Look at this stationery box. Zhang Xiaobao smiled at Lu Feng, walked behind a counter, and took out an antique stationery box. According to his calculation, it was an automatic stationery box from many years ago. There was a button on it, and when pressed, a stationery box would pop out from somewhere else. It was very fun, but it was later eliminated as it was not practical. When the students held the stationery box in class, they were not obedient. Their attention was all focused on the button, and then the pencils and pens inside would either break or leak ink. In fact, it was not suitable to take it out for the children to use, because in addition to pencils, the children still needed to write with a brush. Obviously, the stationery box could not put a brush, even if the brush was up and down, and would not directly hurt the brush hair, but when it moved, it would shake, and it would be very harmful to the brush. Zhang Xiaobao chose to take it out because the stationery box was designed by his brothers and sisters. When they were playing with assembling toys, they played with it and assembled the stationery box. Since that was the case, It was better to produce a batch and then let the children who could afford to play with it. At least it could cultivate the children's interest. He believed that there would be curious children who would take the stationery box apart and then assemble it again by themselves. This was the inherent thinking and behavior of a normal person. They liked to think about things, and even adults were the same. As long as they felt that something didn't require too much technology, or thought that their knowledge could be applied to it, they would always want to take it apart and put it back together. Of course, in the process, most of the things eventually broke down. Science was all about curiosity. There was a saying that the poor studied while the rich studied martial arts. However, those who were truly involved in research needed money the most. Those who could afford to buy a pencil case were most likely from wealthy families. 10,000 bought, 5,000 opened. Perhaps many years later, it was precisely because of a pencil box at this time that a scientist with a major invention was nurtured. Sure enough, when Lu Feng saw the stationery box, he found it very interesting. He placed the stationery box on the counter and pressed the buttons over and over again. For a moment, he forgot about his tiredness and hunger. He was completely absorbed in it. "Is it fun?" Zhang Xiaobao asked. Lu Feng nodded. "Is it interesting?" Zhang Xiaobao asked. Lu Feng nodded. "Did you find it interesting?" Zhang Xiaobao asked. Lu Feng nodded. "Then do you think it can be sold?" Zhang Xiaobao asked. Lu Feng shook his head. "No." "Is there a spring inside? And it's a spring made of better material? What if someone from Duo Nihility buys it and uses it to make guns? Don't think that I don't know about springs in guns. I've seen Duo Nihility's guns. They're filled with gunpowder, then iron pellets are put in, and a shot is fired. It's very dangerous if you get close to it. Also, they're currently researching impact ignition. Don't think that they're stupid. They can also think about it. If you put firecrackers on hard ground and hit them with a hammer, what does it mean? It means that the firing method of a gun can be studied carefully. If it can't be fired, the power of the firing can be increased. Now that there's a spring in the pencil case you're selling, what if they use it to make a firing device? What do you say? I have to take a good look at the things in your shop. If there's anything that I don't think others can learn, you're not allowed to sell it. Otherwise, I'll fight you to the death. Zhang Xiaobao was very impressed. He said 3 things in a row and Lu Feng nodded. According to conventional thinking, Lu Feng should continue to nod when the 4th question was asked. Unexpectedly, he shook his head. Hearing Lu Feng's words, Zhang Xiaobao shook his head and smiled. It seemed that Lu Feng knew a lot, but he wasn't proficient in it. It was too difficult to use gunpowder to make a firing gun. He might as well hold a hammer in his hand. It was more useful than a spring. As for the accuracy, he couldn't care less. "Okay, I'll listen to you. You go to sleep first. I won't open the door today. When you wake up, I'll ask the shop assistant to show you around." Zhang Xiaobao planned to go back to sleep as well. He would sleep after drinking a bowl of soup and not eat any dishes or staples. Lu Feng looked at the closed door and said to Zhang Xiaobao, "You know their family, so you can take things from them. Why don't you do me a favor? Help me pass a message to Xiao Bao or Cuckoo. Just say, no, help me contact them. I'll tell them personally. It's very important, very important. I'll go to sleep first, you contact them." "Okay." Zhang Xiaobao agreed. "Look at how happy you are. Did you find something good?" Zhang Xiaobao went back to the restaurant. He greeted his younger brother and sister who were studying and asked someone to bring him a bowl of egg drop soup. He soaked himself in a big wooden bucket filled with hot water. He bathed to relieve his fatigue while drinking the soup. Wang Wan saw that his expression was good, so she asked. Zhang Xiaobao blew the floating green onions in the bowl. He took a deep breath and said, "It smells good." When people are tired, they need hot water, salt, and a little bit of fat. Drinking a few mouthfuls of hot soup can increase people's chances of survival in a difficult environment. "So you're so happy to see the soup?" Wang Wan held a book in her hand. She didn't read it and pretended to talk to Zhang Xiaobao. Not exactly. Yesterday morning, when I went out to follow them, I found a colleague, a very interesting colleague. Lu Feng, this kid is not bad. He's talented, hardworking, and most importantly, he knows how to use any resources to help himself gain benefits. Zhang Xiaobao tried to drink a mouthful of the soup. It was so hot that he stuck out his tongue and continued to blow. Wang Wan had long been used to Zhang Xiaobao's style of doing things. She wasn't in a hurry. She looked at the words in the book again and waited. After sticking out his tongue, Zhang Xiaobao moved his body, making a sound of water. He suddenly asked, "Why didn't you put a spoon in the soup for me? Since I met you, I've never seen you use a spoon to drink soup. Generally speaking, your mouth is facing the edge of the bowl. Look at Bei Bei and Xiaoyuan drinking soup. They're all influenced by you." I tried to persuade them again and again, but the effect was very bad. Wang Wan still didn't ask about the previous words. She followed Zhang Xiaobao's words and tapped the table a few times with her hand. We're also considered a big family. We have to cultivate the quality of our children from a young age. Aristocrats aren't born. You don't use a spoon to drink soup, and you make noises when you eat. What qualifications do you have to enter the upper-class circle? I protest. You're mocking us working people. Drinking soup with a spoon isn't satisfying, but when you open your mouth, it's delicious. In the past, when people who were cheated by me saw me eat like this, they praised me and said that I was bold. It's the same principle as pouring wine on one's body instead of swallowing it into one's stomach. For example, my harvest this time. When Lu Feng went to cheat people and competed in drinking with many people, no matter what he said, many people would flatter him at the side. Otherwise, how could they let themselves be cheated so comfortably? Zhang Xiaobao's body kept moving as he spoke. Obviously, the space in the wooden barrel was small and not as comfortable as in the pool. Wang Wan put down the book and showed a curious expression. She asked, "Oh. You're saying that Lu Feng can cheat many people to drink wine? In this period of time, they don't seem to be allowed to drink because of the food problem. If they get addicted to drinking, maybe they'll find a way to make wine themselves. That's a good idea. Yes, that's what I'm thinking too. I'm thinking about how to secretly trade them a good winemaking method. I want to break the current prohibition rule and change it into the future. That is, people can drink, but they can't do anything that endangers public safety because of drinking. Alcohol can make people relax to a certain extent. If drunk in moderation, it can also drive away the cold and speed up people's blood circulation. Drinking on the battlefield can make people braver." Zhang Xiaobao narrowed his eyes and said to Wang Wan with a smile. In his heart, he had a plan. Wine was more harmful to the country than to individuals in this period of time. Fruit wine consumed fruits, while white wine generally consumed food. It was not easy to make fruit wine into white wine. Wang Wan frowned slightly and nodded after thinking for a while. She knew what Zhang Xiaobao meant. After the war began, in addition to the fierce confrontations at the front, there would be small-scale conflicts and the repositioning of the border. They had to fight continuously, but they also had to control the rhythm and attack countries with strategic positions. This was the disadvantage of not being able to quickly occupy them. If they didn't have very sharp mechanized troops, they couldn't fight a blitzkrieg battle. If they didn't have a good policy to pacify the people, they couldn't guarantee that the people in the places they fought wouldn't organize resistance. If they couldn't guarantee that the supply line would be extended due to various factors, then they couldn't rush too fast. Otherwise, if they forcefully pushed forward, it would lead to more deaths. Not only would they be killed by the enemy's guerrilla warfare, but there would also be psychological stress and illness after a long period of war. When fighting to a certain extent, Zhang Xiaobao's methods would be needed to break down the enemy's soldiers' will and destroy the people's mentality. The best method was to let the enemy realize that they couldn't beat the opponent in front and that they had nothing to eat at the back. In addition to Zhang Xiaobao's plan, if several steps were used at the same time, the effect would be very good and obvious. It's actually a loss that you didn't go with him. Lu Feng is too interesting. I don't know how he got in touch with the man-eaters. He actually gave himself the identity of a technician, the kind that is oppressed and unfair. He drew the blueprints himself and wrote the technical information himself. Yesterday, he sold a new powerful weapon to the man-eaters. It's a double-hole cannon arranged side by side. There's a small hole between the two muzzles. This kind of technology is not accessible to ordinary people because it was successfully researched and tested by our new combined power gunpowder weapon connection system, autonomous control long-range strike and kill technology equipment institute. It's a very powerful research department. Just the name alone is scary enough. Count, how many words? After Zhang Xiaobao finished speaking, he began to drink the soup. It was a little cold now. If he didn't drink it now, he would feel uncomfortable. His stomach was already aching. Wang Wan, after being stunned for a while, she asked with a smile, Lu Feng actually tricked the man-eaters and even created his own department. At the same time, he drew blueprints and wrote data? He's really a talent. So, he also got his money from the man-eaters? No wonder there are special gold coins for the man-eaters and pearls that match the local characteristics. Yes, but yesterday he didn't ask for the gold coins and pearls. He said that the gold coins were not valuable and that it was troublesome to sell the pearls. He took people's. I estimate that it was 700 or 800 strings of coins. He seemed to take less at the beginning. Later on, he specifically asked for 600 strings of coins. It's enough for him to spend for a while. He said that in 2 days, we will hold a drill outside the city. When the time comes, we will participate and let the man-eaters cooperate with the assassination. Now he's waiting for my reply to see if he has contacted the Zhang family and the Wang family. He wants to make a contribution and then use it to attack the people who once looked down on him. Zhang Xiaobao said and shook his head helplessly. Wang Wan and Wei Wei opened their mouths. He suffered a lot in their village. He actually thinks about revenge all the time, and even dares to deceive the man-eaters. Once the man-eaters realize that there is a problem, or if they think that he has enough knowledge, they will tie him up and he can forget about coming back. Yes, that's why I admire him. He's a living person. He has his own happiness, anger, sorrow, and joy. He has his own pursuits. His understanding of happiness is also different from ours. He wants to use his future identity to make the people who looked down on him regret. He wants to return to the village after he has money and show it off. But he can't figure out other ways to make money faster, so he takes the risk. Through his words in the gambling house, we can know how much resentment he has for the people in the village. It can be said that his hatred is monstrous. Zhang Xiaobao said with a sigh. He could actually understand. It was just like when he was taking revenge on others. When he was wronged, he would not seek any legal support. He could not fight against the power of others, but he could do it more directly. He could not represent the law, but he had his own scales. The most direct reason for this situation was that the people who enforced the law were people, not machines. People could not get rid of social relations, and the importance of human resources was well reflected. Wang Wan also sighed and said, so Lu Feng chose a different path. He did not use direct force to kill the people in the village who looked down on him. In the village, he had an inferiority complex. After he came out, he was confident. He was better than you at that time. He did not challenge the country's law. Don't drag me into this. He's probably just discriminated against because of economic pressure. It's not that he was beaten up by the county magistrate. If it's the latter, do you think the current law enforcement department of Tang Empire will let the county magistrate off? What about me? If it was also the county magistrate who beat me, what do you think the consequences would be if I went to complain? You still have the nerve to mention this kind of thing. If someone broke the law against me and I went to complain, then I would be suppressed or even persecuted. If it was more serious, I would disappear. In order to avoid this situation, I used other means to take revenge. I was breaking the law, and then no one helped me to suppress or excuse me. Does it mean that the best way is for me to choose to endure? Otherwise, I would be a bad person, a person who endangers public safety, a person who does not know strategy, a person who crosses the street like a rat who is hated by everyone. In fact, I am worse than a rat, because no one cares whether the rat crosses the street or not. Zhang Xiaobao was angry when he talked about this kind of thing. It seemed that after being bullied, he had to do things according to other people's rules. Otherwise, it was wrong, and other people's rules were to protect other people's interests. So Lu Feng is a very good person. Wang Wan sighed and blamed herself for bringing up this topic. She couldn't possibly change the mentality that Zhang Xiaobao had developed over a long period of time. Although it was extreme, it depended on the strength one had. When one's strength reached a certain level, then it was no longer extreme, but the truth. At that time, although Zhang Xiaobao couldn't become the truth, he could make it so that you couldn't use the truth to deal with him. At the same time, he could also make a move on the people who protected the truth, then hide in other places that didn't agree with your truth. Yes, it's very good. Zhang Xiaobao did not continue to talk about this old topic. He was only occasionally touched and felt uncomfortable. This was also the reason why he encouraged Li Longji to spend a lot of money every year to send waves of inspectors to different places. He had been wronged and suffered injustice, so he wanted to try his best to let people who were in the same situation as him suffer less. In this regard, he could not be the world, he only represented himself. After drinking the soup in the bowl, Zhang Xiaobao stood up and said to Wang Wan, who was helping him dry his body, "What makes me most gratified is that Lu Feng is still protecting this country, or this regime, when he wants to take revenge on the villagers. If he is willing, I believe he can find a way to sell restricted goods of Tang Dynasty to Duoshi, like the Chen family. But he chose to cheat people of Duoshi, risking his life. Not only is he cheating people of their money, but he is also considering cheating people of their lives. You know the shop I opened after I came back, right? There are a lot of things in it. Actually, I don't intend to sell them at all. The things I want to sell are all ordinary things that don't require high technology. For example, slightly higher precision rulers, compasses, protractors, and so on. Also, I don't only sell them to children. If the craftsmen want to buy them, they will also sell them. If the tools are not uniform, there will be a big difference in the products produced, which will affect the overall craftsmen of society. In the future, if any craftsman invents something good, we will buy it directly. If the craftsmen do not have high technology, we will make a finished product and help them sell it. Even if it is a child who invented it, it will be the same. When the stationery box is sold, I will sign an agreement with Xiao Bei and the others to share the technology patent. This will be a great boost to Tang Dynasty's technological research. It is too slow to only rely on the rewards given by the Ministry of Works for craftsmen. As for the phenomenon of imitation, I have considered it carefully. We can imitate the theory, but we cannot completely imitate the appearance. Also, every imitation must have a little bit of its own technology. If not, we will investigate and punish severely. What do you think? After he finished speaking, Wang Wan dried Zhang Xiaobao's body. He did not return to the master bedroom. Instead, he slept on the bed in the study that was neither a study nor a side bedroom. Wang Wan covered Zhang Xiaobao with the blanket and sat at the head of the bed. She looked at Zhang Xiaobao who was lying there and said, "I understand what you mean. If the person who imitates wants to avoid the law, he has to add in his own technology. When he adds in the technology will belong to him. If others want to imitate, they will have to change the technology. In this way, as time passes, all kinds of technology will appear among the people, which is very beneficial to the overall development of our country. Let me add that the craftsmen now do not have many requirements for patents. They have always wanted to use their own means to keep it a secret. If you have to say that there is a requirement, it is best to write their name on the patent. The person who invented it will be named." Many foreigners are like this. The name of the thing is actually a person's name or an abbreviation of a person's name. If it is done, the craftsman will be very happy. In addition to the rules you set, if we help them sell it in the early stages, they will be able to earn a lot of money. Especially when they use our name, that will be a brand. When the craftsman's income increases, they will consciously continue to invest in research to earn more money and gain a greater reputation. Fame and profit, I have not found anyone who does not need it. The foundation of a country's development is to increase the production of profit and fame. At the same time, it is to maintain the rules of fame and profit. It is very stable, but it is very difficult because any rule has a loophole. There are many people who want to break the rules. Alright, I have already thought of it. You are planning to let Lu Feng be in charge of this, right? His luck is really good. He can go to a gambling den and meet Xiao Bei and the others who are shopping. There are many people like him in the world, but not everyone has the same luck as him. Hey, are you asleep? As Wang Wan spoke, she saw that Zhang Xiaobao was not moving. His breathing had become even and his eyes were closed. She started to get angry. Who was she talking to? No. Zhang Xiaobao opened his eyes. I am thinking about how to deal with it the day after tomorrow. We will start fighting tomorrow. Will they come to assassinate us? The people who are keeping watch over there have not sent back any news. What should we do? Wait, what else can we do? They probably won't come. Let's take the initiative to go there. Which of the guards in the house has not killed before? We can go there and kill a few to train our courage. But if we don't catch them and then train, many people will not be able to get past the psychological barrier. If there are many of them hiding in the mountains, we can catch them to repair the road. Wang Wan felt that the guards in the house had been too idle recently. A small portion of them had not participated in battles. No matter how harsh the training was, it would not be enough. Zhang Xiaobao reached out and hugged Wang Wan's waist. Madam, you are so thoughtful. All right, I will listen to you. I do want Lu Feng to be in charge. Now that the magical stationery stores are opening in the central cities of various states, he will be in charge of being a deputy in Ezhou before he is trained. I admire his patriotism. There are many advanced things in the stationery store. After he saw it, he directly blocked the door of my store. He clearly knows that I am in contact with the Zhang family and the Wang family, but he still righteously scolded me. Human nature is like this. He has his own shortcomings, but he also has his own merits. I don't care about his shortcomings. I only use his merits. Of course, if he can slowly get rid of some of his shortcomings, that will be better. Doesn't he want to be outstanding? I will give him a chance. When there is a need, I will vigorously promote it. I will say that he is not afraid of difficulties and dangers. He fought with the enemy with wisdom and courage. With the support of his patriotism, he won the battle at that level. He is a hero. A hero who comes from an ordinary family but dares to do anything for the Tang Empire. His opposite is the Chen family. The Chen family is rich, but they can never be compared with Lu Feng. Lu Feng is more important than a goose feather, while the Chen family is less important than Mount Tai. What nonsense is this? Is there a saying that the Chen family is more important than a goose feather? You are brainwashing. I agree. If the ruling class doesn't brainwash them, they will be robbed by the ruling class. Wang Wan smiled and patted Zhang Xiaobao's hand. She stood up and said, You continue to sleep. I am going to see Xiao Bei and the others. It seems that you can't eat lunch. What are you going to eat for dinner? I will cook dinner after I wake up. Go. Oh, there is also the Fan family. You should also contact them and provide them with money. Let them do a good job in road construction and management. He is also very good. Zhang Xiaobao waved his hand and retracted his arm. He leaned inwards and hugged part of the quilt to sleep. He had this habit of hugging the quilt to sleep. Even in summer, he needed a thin quilt to cover himself. After the quilt warmed up, he would turn over and continue hugging the other side because it was cooler. On the road to the west of Ezhou City, about 40 miles away, there were more than 10 connected houses by the roadside. All of them were built with wood. As noon approached, more and more people came from both sides of the road. Many people would habitually look up at the sky when they saw the houses, looking for the position of the sun. Then they would find a place under the shed outside. Some people directly took out money and ordered food. Some people even drank. Generally speaking, people who came from the west drank because there were only a few dozen miles left. At the end of the road was Ezhou City, where they could have a good rest. There were also people who didn't have money at all. They just took out some fried noodles from their bags. They were dry fried and didn't want to use oil. If oil was used to fry noodles, it would waste a lot of oil. There was only a little bit of salt in it. These people didn't order food. They just greeted the waiter and asked for a bowl of water. People who walked this road often knew that the hot water at the Fan family stall didn't cost money. If they really didn't have money or food, they would give them a steamed bun when they saw that they only had water. One steamed bun wasn't enough to fill their stomachs, but it could prevent them from starving to death. They could persevere until they reached the city. When they reached the city, they didn't have to worry about starving to death. They could just go to the local government office and ask them to find a suitable job for them to feed themselves. Old Fan, give us a jar of yellow wine and some hot dishes. Serve the cold dishes first. We'll drink. 3 people came from the west. Each of them was in charge of 2 mules. Familiar people could tell at a glance that the 3 people didn't travel too far. Moreover, they chose the right path. Otherwise, one person wouldn't be able to watch 2 mules. The 3 people were dressed the same, but they were definitely not relatives. The most common thing was that each of them had a full beard. Obviously, because it was difficult to wash them on the road, their beards had stuck together into strands. One of the people with a black mole under his left eye shouted at the person in charge of collecting money. They seemed to be very familiar with each other. Otherwise, they would normally call each other waiter. The person who was shouted at was the head of the Fan family that Zhang Xiaobao saw yesterday. He stayed at the stall to take care of the accounts and collect money. The person in charge of the accounts had gone to do other things. When he saw the 3 people, he revealed a warm smile and said, "Second brother Do, it seems that you guys are rich this time. The last few times you came here, you couldn't bear to spend money on wine, let alone hot dishes. You guys can handle a bowl of noodles. How about 4 dishes?" 6, 4 is too little. 4 cold dishes. Old Fan, it's not that I want to criticize you, but look at the restaurants in the city. When customers come, they serve cold dishes first. There are also a few small plates that are free. Why don't you prepare some? The person who was called Second Brother Do unbuttoned 2 buttons on his collar and sat there boldly. He laughed and teased the head of the Fan family. "Oh, isn't this the second son of the Do family, Do Cheong? Why, are you so poor now that you want to eat for free?" Before the people of the Fan family could speak, someone at the table next to them interrupted. Judging from his tone, he was also familiar with Second Brother Do. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly regretted it. Because there were 2 people, one old and one young, who were also poor. In front of each of them was a steamed bun, a bowl of hot water, and a plate of pickles. Real pickles, not cold dishes. According to him, these 2 people were eating for free. His words struck a blow to everyone. He hesitated, but seeing that the old and young people didn't even raise their heads, he didn't have the nerve to deliberately apologize. However, his face clearly turned red. "I'll say it again. My name is not Cheong, it's Cheong. It's very delicate. You said that I'm eating for free, so I'll eat for once. Today, you have to treat each table to a dish. Otherwise, you'll have to say what you said." Do Cheong also glanced at the old and young people, then said to the person who just spoke, "Of course, I'll definitely treat, but the dishes won't do. The head of the Fan family doesn't have enough hands, so it's troublesome to cook. Let's just have a bowl of wonton each. Those of you who ordered other things, like wine, I won't care." The person nodded at Do Cheong gratefully. This was a chance to apologize. Otherwise, based on what he said just now, those who knew him today would laugh at him when they saw him in the future. The old and young people didn't provoke him, so why did he have to criticize them? Who didn't have difficulties? The head of the Fan family, Fan Cheating, also quickly followed. Today's wonton is different from other times. I've been taught by an expert, so when I got up in the morning to prepare the ingredients, I specially made a bowl and tasted it. The taste is simply amazing. Xiao Ba, each person has a bowl of wonton. Those who order and drink wait until they're almost done eating. The waiter, Xiao Ba, was very perceptive. He immediately agreed and immediately put 2 bowls of wonton into the pot. After boiling for a while, he took out the wonton and put it into the bowls. Then, he added the ingredients according to the method Zhang Xiaobao taught him yesterday. The bone broth was mixed, and the aroma was overflowing. He sprinkled some coriander and chopped green onions on top and carried it to the old and young people's tables. "Old master, give me some face." Someone insisted on treating us. "It's hot, so take your time." The waiter was very good at talking. The old man looked at the 2 bowls in front of him and then looked at his grandson who was looking up at him. He touched his grandson's head and said, "Eat, this uncle is treating us. In the future, if you have the ability, you can go and help others. Today we have to travel more. When we get to the city, you can go to school. I'll go to the yamen and ask them to arrange a job for us." "Old master, where did you come from? It seems that you have traveled a lot." The person who was treating them saw that the old man understood everything, so he greeted him. In the West, the child's parents came out to look for work. "I heard that they went to Hunan province. There are only mountains in my hometown, so it's close to the border. I brought my grandson and didn't want to wait any longer. It's hard to send a message. So, I came here first. When I have enough money, I'll go there to look for his parents." "Thank you very much." The old man explained his situation and thanked the person. "Don't thank me. It's not a big deal. You also had difficulties on the road. When you get to the city, it'll be fine. People like you don't need to look for work at all. When you go to the yamen, just tell them where you are and the yamen will arrange a place to take care of you. You don't have to worry about the little ones." There won't be any bad consequences, and your business won't be suppressed. However, from now on, all the businessmen in that place will be recorded by Xiaobei and the others. In the future, they won't look for you if there's anything good. Moreover, once you commit a crime, they might come to arrest you personally. Once they catch you, they'll finish you off. Even if you have the ability to complain to the morning court of Honyuan Palace Hall, no one, from the emperor to the ministers, will say a word for you. My family really doesn't fork out a lot of money. Every month, we get about 70 strings of coins. It's not that I don't want to give more, but the school doesn't need that much money. There are other people who will pay. I've always believed that in this world, there is a return on investment. It seems that there is no return on investment, but in fact, that's not the case. For example, according to my normal family wealth, I can get a loan of 10,000 strings of coins from the bank. However, when I asked, they said that I can get 15,000 strings of coins because I'm paying for the school. They are looking at your character and reputation. A person who cares so much for children, I believe that he can't be bad. Fan Cheating described the treatment he received to prove the relationship between investment and return. While everyone was discussing national affairs, a few fast horses came from the west and came directly to the stall. The people on the horses dismounted. The first person looked at Fan Cheating and asked, "Are you Fan Cheating of Izhou's Fan family?" "Yes, you are." Fan Cheating was puzzled. "I'm the manager of Izhou's Tang Bank. Yesterday, the young master met with you and instructed us to provide you with a low-interest, high-limit loan. He said that you have the ability to repay and that there is no problem with your reputation. If you're not busy, come with us to sign the contract." The person who came had a businesslike appearance. "Young master? Your family? Xiaobao? Yesterday?" Yesterday, the one who said that they would go sightseeing was Xiaobao? After hearing this, Fan Cheating suddenly shouted in surprise. The others looked at Fan Cheating enviously. They thought that investment really did pay off, and it came so directly and so quickly. Chapter 1232. Fan Cheating left in a special happy mood. Before he got on the horse, he asked the waiter to add a serving of salted beans for each table. Other people got up to see him off. They looked at Fan Cheating's small figure with envy. They were not only envious that Fan Cheating could borrow more money, but also envious that he met Zhang Xiaobao yesterday and got the method of making wontons from Zhang Xiaobao. "Xiaobao, a bowl of wontons. Do Cheong shouted at the waiter. She didn't mention that she would be treated. She still had money for a bowl of wontons. The old man who left his hometown with his grandson was still in a trance. On the way here, he had heard many people talking about Xiao Bao and Cuckoo, but he had never felt so real. What was the matter with the loan? Grandpa, it's delicious. The old man's grandson ate the steamed bun and looked at the half bowl of hot water left. In the end, he couldn't resist the temptation of another bowl of wontons and chose not to drink the water. As a result, he, who had never eaten wontons before, was instantly conquered by the delicious taste of wontons and shouted at his grandfather. The old man looked at his grandson who was eating wontons and didn't worry that the little thing would eat too much. Although the little thing was only 7 years old, his appetite was not small. Moreover, on the way here, there was little oil in his stomach. Every meal he ate was comparable to an adult. What made the old man absent-minded was that he almost didn't recognize the country he had heard of before. Because it was remote and located at the border of two countries, the old man and others who were similar to the old man didn't have a sense of belonging to the Tang Empire. Anyway, there was no local government, so it was fine to say that they belonged to any country. The thing that made the deepest impression was not long after his grandson was born. In the past, every 2 or 3 months, he had to come out of the mountains, cross 2 rivers, and walk down the last river for half a month to trade with the local people for salt. At first, the price was very high, but he was already used to it. After his grandson was born, he occasionally went down with other people in the village to trade. He found that the salt was cheap, and it was no longer black. One kind of salt was white and delicate, and the other was very cheap, with a little black color and big grains. Later on, he heard people say that they would continue to head east, where they could find work and earn more money. Only then did his son and daughter-in-law leave. When they left, his grandson was only 3 years old. 10 years later, they never saw each other again. She had originally planned to beg for money along the way when she brought her grandson out. Who would have thought that from the moment they met with the first official, their way of life was different? The people who came and went wore good clothes, and they even received money. The official's request was very simple. The grandmother and grandson had to report their names, tell them where they lived, and then put their fingerprints on 3 pieces of paper that they did not recognize. One of the 3 pieces was for her to keep. After that, the yamen gave them money and someone told them how to get there. Unfortunately, because they had never been out before, they took the wrong route and took a big detour. After spending all their money, they had to rely on others to help them along the way. Whenever they met people on the road, they would listen to what they said. They heard a lot, but they were not complete. The one who felt it the most was that the people in the yamen were stupid. They actually gave money just by leaving a fingerprint. The people they met on the road were generous and did not care to treat them to food. It was only today that they heard people speak, and someone even asked them to eat wontons in an apologetic manner. They felt the most emotional. When they were young, they ate wontons once when they exchanged food with others. The taste was still unforgettable. Standing by the table, the old man felt like he was in a dream. When the others sat down again and his grandson called him again, saying that the wonton in his bowl was delicious, he suddenly woke up. He sat down again, scooped up a wonton with a spoon, put it near his mouth, and gently blew on it twice before putting it into his mouth. A strong meaty flavor immediately filled the old man's mouth. After drinking a mouthful of fresh and hot soup, an indescribable smile appeared on the old man's wrinkled face. Use a spoon. The old man corrected his grandson's way of eating wontons with chopsticks. His eyes began to look at the people around him, feeling that everything in the world had changed. "Old man, do you want some wine?" Do Cheong asked as she poured a bowl full of wine and brought it over. The old man grinned and said, "That's good to hear. I'm always afraid that people will lie to me and say that the school arranged for the kid in Ijo City is a lie, and that the job at the yamen is a lie." The old man didn't refuse the offer of wine, but talked about something else. He had been very tired along the way, so he didn't know much about Tang. After hearing about it from others, he would always mention it casually when he met people again. One was to verify what he had heard from others, and the other was to show that he was familiar with Tang so that he wouldn't be bullied. Many times when he was sleeping with his grandson by the roadside in the wilderness at night, he would be awakened by the slightest noise. If it weren't for the fact that he still had a grandson to take care of, he might not have been able to survive. Do Cheong was stunned by the old man's mumbling and relieving words. She soon understood what was going on with the old man. She guessed that he must have been very careful and on tenterhooks along the way. It was normal to be afraid of being bullied and cheated when traveling. However, Do Cheong suddenly realized that she hadn't felt like the old man for a long time. The last time she had the same feeling seemed to be yesterday, but it also seemed to be very long ago. When did it start? Ezhou. Logistics camp? Do Cheong stood at the old man's table with a bowl of wine in each hand and murmured. The old man stretched out his hands covered with blue veins and calluses and carefully took the wine. He took a sip and smacked his lips, revealing his yellow teeth with 2 missing teeth. He praised, "Good wine. What's the logistics camp of Ezhou?" "It's nothing. It's just an army that used to be temporarily used to deliver things in wars. Now it still exists, but it's different from before because 2 people are missing." Do Cheong shook her head hard, trying to shake away the idea in her mind. She casually explained to the old man, raised the wine and proposed a toast, and also smiled. "Deliver things? Deliver things to the army? Oh, I know. Before I came out, there were many people who delivered things on the other side. It's not easy for them to carry things on their shoulders and hands. They delivered food. My side didn't send many animals, and they were all people they found from other places. They were all like us and had a hard life. Although it's called an army, in fact, they can't fight in wars. The name of the logistics camp." Haha. The old man had his own little calculation, and at the same time, he also had the thought of showing off like many ordinary people. He tried his best to show that he knew more. He was different from those old guys who surrounded Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan all day. Those old guys were all shrewd, and it was hard for others to guess what they were thinking. The person who was treating them interrupted. "What do you mean, old man? The logistics camp can't fight in wars?" "Haha, if the logistics camp of Ezhou can't fight in wars, there will be no strong army in the world. I don't know how the armies in other places are famous, but the logistics camp of Ezhou's fame is built with corpses." "Whose corpses?" the old man asked with a slightly unconvinced look. "Ours." Another person in the small team spoke, but the expression on his face was very calm. The person who heard his voice immediately felt embarrassed. Obviously, since he could say this, he must be from Tubo. "The leader is the one you mentioned just now. I've heard many times along the way, Cuckoo. The one who cooperates with her is another name, Xiao Bao. Demoness Cuckoo, a smile that can destroy the whole world, and a ruthless Xiao Bao who kills without spilling blood." The person who continued the conversation couldn't help but shiver. The old man was stunned. He unconsciously drank a mouthful of wine and recovered from the alcohol. He asked puzzledly, "Didn't you say that the 2 of them were doing good deeds? They wanted the government to help the people and let the children be literate. Why did they kill people?" Another person in the original Tubo team said, "They only help the people of their own country. Take you for example. If you admit that you are the people of the Tang Empire and put your fingerprint, you will be helped. If you don't admit that you are the people of the Tang Empire and don't put your fingerprint when they ask you to, you and your grandson will starve to death on the road." The old man was also shocked. He didn't think of anything else when he was imprinting his handprint. He didn't think of anything else. Anyway, he and his grandson were penniless. They wouldn't be sold. They weren't worth anything. Who would have thought that this would happen? You were beaten up by them and many people died. Then they put your fingerprint? The old man guessed and asked. Actually, not many people died in the war. In total, there were only about 100,000 people. The ones who really died were Xiao Bao's extermination plan. Later, we found out that he didn't show any mercy. In addition, our king also agreed, so we surrendered. After we surrendered, our lives started to get better. If we had known, why did we fight? Who was it? He came up with a plan to dig up the Yangtze River, and the place he dug was the place where the father of Cuckoo and Xiaobao was an official. This person obviously didn't hate Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Instead, he hated the person who came up with the plan. The old man didn't hear this on the way. He couldn't follow the other party's train of thought. After hearing it, he asked, "Who is their father?" A third-rank official in the imperial court, the Minister of Works, Zhang Zheng, Zhang Yongqing. Even if I tell you, you don't know how powerful he is. He is very, very powerful. He is much more powerful than the most powerful official you have ever seen. Even the most powerful official you have ever seen would have to depend on luck to meet him. You might not even have the chance to meet him in your entire life. Do Qiong helped to explain. In fact, he didn't know in the past. The officials in the capital were too far away for him. It was as if he didn't live in the same world. Now, there were more newspapers. There was a detailed introduction of the official positions in the newspaper, including their ranks and functions. Those who didn't buy the newspaper would ask others to help them copy it. Those who could read would take it out and read it by themselves. Those who couldn't read would find someone to read it. Then, they would memorize it. When they were chatting with others, they would have something to talk about. Today, they could talk about it with people who didn't know. It seemed very knowledgeable. The old man raised his head and thought about it. He sighed. So it's because they have a good father. Old sir, you are wrong. But it's also true. Without a good father, they can't be born. But our feelings for them definitely have nothing to do with their father. To say something disrespectful, if their father dies, we should live our lives. But if they die one day, sigh, I don't dare to think about it. I really don't dare to think about it. Do Qiong patted the old man's shoulder and said with a fatherly look, "Grandpa, it's gone. The meat is gone." The old man's grandson actually ate up the whole bowl of wontons in a while, even drinking up the soup. He raised his head and said to his grandpa. It seemed that he wanted to eat more. "Little guy, don't eat any more. If you eat more, your stomach will burst." Lil ate. "Do you have any dried fruits? Give some to the little guy and let him grind his teeth." Do Qiong knew that the little guy was addicted to eating and ate so fast that he didn't feel full for a while. But after a while, he would feel full. Noodles and meat were digested faster than rice, but there was still time. It was better to eat some dried fruits. No dried fruits, but there are fresh fruits. Last year, the Sidong Temple helped to cultivate the former apples. My master planted a batch of them and kept them until now. They haven't gone bad. Give some to him. Lil Eight's attitude to the old man and his grandson was also good. He treated them as people of the Tang Empire, and also as people who came back to their parents' home for the first time. He wanted to let them feel the warmth of home as much as possible. So he ran back to the house and took out an apple and a plate of boiled fava beans. These were his snacks. He put them in front of the child and the old man. The fava beans were used to drink wine. The old man was very embarrassed. He had taken advantage of others today. He raised his eyebrows and asked Do Qiong, "Little brother, how much is today's food worth?" "It's not worth much." Just like what the old man said to the little guy just now, when he is successful, he can help others. "We're going back to Ezhou, so we can take care of each other. Lil 8, rent a mule cart from your stall. We'll send you home directly. Our mules are also tired. Let them rest and give them a ride." Do Qiong decided to be a good person to the end. This time, they had made a lot of money, so it didn't matter if they spent some money. The little guy didn't care about the adult's business. He took the apple and took a big bite, eating it happily. The old man raised the sleeve of his coarse linen clothes to wipe the tears from the corners of his eyes. He drank 2 mouthfuls of wine and was silent for a while. At this moment, an eagle cry sounded in the sky, attracting everyone's attention. "Shueyun!" Someone cried out in surprise, "Why is Shueyun coming out at this time?" As soon as the voice fell, the ground began to tremble, followed by the sound of horse hooves. A large group of soldiers and horses appeared in the direction of Ezhou City. The people on the horses all looked serious. In front of the horses was a flag with the word "Tai" written on it. Everyone stopped what they were doing and watched in shock as the cavalry troop rumbled past. After a long time, the old man patted his chest and said, "I thought they were here to kill people. How scary." Do Cheong took a deep breath and said, "I think they are here to kill people, but not us. I haven't seen anyone along the way who should be killed. Why are they even sending Shui Yun and the Tibetan Underground Cavalry Battalion? I think there are people from Duosha hiding somewhere nearby. Otherwise, they wouldn't send General Shui Yun out." Another person guessed. That beautiful white eagle is a general?" the child asked excitedly. "His name is Shui Yun, a general of the Tang Empire. He's very powerful. Other eagles can't beat him. As long as he's in the sky, he's the absolute ruler." Lil 8 introduced him with a smile. The old man thought a lot and asked, "Are they going to attack the troops that are transporting goods over there?" I have something to tell the people in charge. There's something else in their troop. It's very powerful. Who can help me find it?" "Sir, you're not lying? Are you telling the truth?" Do Cheong didn't expect this old man to have intelligence. Normally, he wouldn't bother Xiao Bao and Cuckoo, but it was easy to get military intelligence. He could see it at any time. After asking and seeing the old man's confident look, Do Cheong quickly ordered Lil 8, "Set up the carriage for us. Leave my mule here first. We'll leave right away." Lil 8 nodded nervously and said, "Okay, I'll be right away. I still have horses here. I'll look after your things. Let's go." Not long after, Do Cheong and the other two left the goods and the mule. Each of them rode a horse and guarded the mule carriage. They carried the grandmother and grandson to Ijo City at the fastest speed. Chapter 1233. Do Cheong and the other two escorted the two of them forward at a rather fast pace. If they had been on a good horse, they would have been able to travel more than 800 li. Although it was now a civilian road, it was much smoother and wider than the official road of the past. The official road had already been built by the imperial court for the common people. Every year, the common people had to volunteer, and if they didn't work, they had to fork out money. In other words, they had to hire servants or be called laborers. If they didn't want to work, it was easy to do. They just had to replace them with something else. The imperial court's tax was actually passed to the common people, while the tax on merchants was collected in proportion to their assets. Moreover, the tax on merchants was very irregular. Most of the time, it was calculated according to the population, and this population was calculated according to the agricultural tax. Thus, although the status of farmers was higher than that of merchants, they had to bear a heavy burden of tax. It was not worth it. After Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan arrived, they began to instigate the imperial court to levy a special business tax. In the beginning, the tax was based on a small percentage. Later on, the normal tax system in history was still not the same, because there was also the rent and tax of the farmers. In the past few years, collecting the tax on merchants had been very difficult, but even so, the imperial court's revenue had clearly increased. Once Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan stabilized their positions, the tax on merchants began to increase. Last year, when the tax was distributed on a large scale, no one in the Great Tang could stop it. Whether it was the officials, the great clans, or the hidden business consortiums, when faced with these two powerful individuals, there was no other choice but to obediently exchange benefits with them. Last year's revenue from the national treasury was around 100 million strings of coins, and this year, it would definitely reach 250 million strings of coins. It wasn't that the Great Tang was poor. It was the imperial court's national treasury and ordinary farmers who didn't have much land that was poor. In the past, it was divided into two extremes, with the government and merchants on one side and the workers and peasants on the other. Those who controlled absolute resources didn't have to pay much tax. Now, the tax was collected based on income, and the price was that Zhang Xiaobao, Wang Wan, and Li Longji had to give up the right to distribute the railway. Li Longji appeared depressed and uncomfortable on this point. In truth, he was much better off than before. At the very least, The national treasury and his own internal funds were abundant. But this was how people were. The more they obtained, the more they wanted more. At that time, Zhang Xiaobao had discussed letting Li Longji wait patiently for a few years. Then, as the resources of the railway increased, the people who made the exchange would naturally know what they had lost. Wang Wan believed that things would eventually go according to Zhang Xiaobao's plan. Not to mention that people nowadays didn't understand Taidu's economic methods. Even if they did, they couldn't beat Zhang Xiaobao. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to cheat so much money back then. As a result, when the imperial court exploited the commoners to build roads, the commoners were very unwilling to work. If they could slack off, they would. Most importantly, the commoners did not have the strength to work. The imperial court did not provide them with food or drink, and did not even provide them with tools. Under such circumstances, wanting to fix the road was no different from a fool's dream. The reason why the road was good now was because the commoners' yearning for a better life in the future was related to the economic foundation they had. It was a kind of spontaneous labor behavior. In addition, there were merchants who helped to pay for it. Everyone had the same goal, so a road that was smoother and more spacious than the official road was produced. The real macro control was like this. It was a little worse than the inaction system, but it followed the rules. If you wanted the commoners to do something, you directly ordered them to do it. It was better to provide them with a good policy environment. Then, you would find that the little drops of rain and dew you gave to the commoners would give you green willows and red flowers in return. Of course, the premise of all this was the ratio between the ability and honesty of the people in power. It was not that the more honest the better, and it was also not that the stronger the ability, the better. The balance between the two was the Tao. The sound of the horses kicking and the wheels rolling could be heard. Dou Qiong and the other two people were on either side of the carriage. There was no coachman on the carriage. The old man did not know how to drive a carriage. He had never even owned an animal before, so how could he learn how to drive a carriage? The mule pulling the carriage was not a newcomer. It knew that it had to follow the road and not go to the side. At the same time, it knew that it should try to maintain the same speed as the rider, unless the rider was running too fast. The child who had never sat in a carriage looked at the scenery on both sides and looked back. He was very excited. The old man was nervous. He already knew that the person he was going to meet was a high official, so high that he did not dare to think about it. He was afraid that he would say something wrong and get his head chopped off. He was even more worried that his grandson would be implicated by him. So he sat on the coachman's seat, and his grandson sat on the other side. Both of them held the shaft of the carriage tightly with their hands, expressing their nervousness and excitement. "Little brother, how much longer?" The old man's body moved with a slight jolt of the carriage, and he shouted to the person on the left, "Don't worry, there is still more than an hour. The mule runs slowly, and the military horses will have already entered the city." The person who was with Dou Qiong shouted to the old man. He was also looking forward to it. Although he knew about the matter of Xiao Bao and Cuckoo, they did not know him at all. It was not good to meet them without any reason. If he delayed their business and was known by others, it was very likely that he would be beaten to death. "Are they easy to talk to? I will be so scared that I can't speak properly. Little brother, you need to help me." The old man shouted again. "Okay." The second person began to feel nervous. He was worried that he could not even stand when they met later. How could he help others? Sure enough, after an hour, the five of them arrived at the city gate of Yizhou. Although it was called a city gate, it was actually very dilapidated. The top of the city wall was bare, and there was a lot of grass growing everywhere. One of the city gates was missing, and the other one was open inwards. The paint on it was peeling off, and it seemed that no one had cleaned it after the rain, so there was a lot of green hair growing on it. The 3 horses and 1 carriage slowed down. There was a team in the city that was heading out. More than half of the team had already left. Dou Qiong could not ask them to return, so she could only wait. The old man in the carriage looked at the city gate and city wall, and suddenly felt uneasy. He asked, "Little brother, the city is broken, and no one is repairing it? Even if the city gate is installed, it will be fine. I don't know who took the city gate away, but the remaining half should be gone soon. It's good wood, and it can be used to make boats and houses. I suddenly remembered that the missing half of the gate is in the provincial government office. It was divided into 2 pieces and used as a notice board. The person on the left side of the carriage had a good memory. He actually remembered where the city gate was. In fact, it was not cost-effective to use the city gate as a notice board. It was not a thin board, but more like a wall. The advantage of using a notice board as a notice board was that it was sturdy and durable. One could even climb a ladder to sleep on it. Do Cheong looked at the team that was leaving the city. She knew them, but their business was very big, so she did not have much contact with them. She only nodded occasionally when they met, but now she nodded as well. After nodding, she said to the old man, "Old man, there is no need to be afraid. From Ijo to the west is Tubo. If someone really attacks, they will have to attack Tubo first. Old man, where is your hometown? Did you come from Tubo? Otherwise, you should know more. Is there a lot of cannibals in your hometown? It's over there. They said that we have to walk diagonally to the north. I have never been out before, so I turned a big circle while walking. I can't remember how I walked. Are you talking about the cannibals who are always shouting la 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 la? Yes, there are some who are chanting Buddhist scriptures. Our place is very chaotic. If we walk south from the mountains, there are often people who go there and come back. This year, those who are shouting la 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 spent a lot of money to find people around us. When we come out, we see them. When we see them. I don't want to tell you. The old man who had never been out of his hometown obviously did not have a detailed geographical knowledge. He did not even know where he was. Anyway, he heard that the east was better. Since his son and daughter-in-law came first, he followed them. While they were talking, the team had already left. Do Cheong hurriedly urged the horse. When they entered the city gate, they did not encounter anyone who stopped to check or collect the entrance fee. Only poor places would do that. There was no need for that in the Tang Empire. After entering the city, Do Cheong dismounted and pulled the mule's halter. He slowed down to avoid bumping into pedestrians. Although the main road in the city was for animals to use, if you did not have special circumstances, you would be severely punished if you hit someone in the middle of the road. Only when there was a military emergency would you be killed. Who asked the person who was hit not to be careful when crossing the main road? The old man and his grandson could not see anything. The city was different from the outside. The main road was wide, and there were many tall buildings on both sides. They did not know any of the words written on the shop signs. Not for people. The old man asked in surprise. Are you talking about the residential area? Behind you, there are shops near the main road. After walking for about 20 minutes, more than a quarter of an hour, we will reach the place. Do Cheong was not a qualified tour guide. Obviously, it was his first time here, but he did not give him a good introduction, such as where there were many local specialties, unique snacks, or scenic spots. He did not say anything. The old man and his grandson could not see anything, so they did not have the mood to ask anything else. The little fellow was attracted by the fragrance of the roadside restaurant and swallowed his saliva. He had eaten a steamed bun, a bowl of wontons, and a big apple before and did not do anything, but he felt hungry again. 20 minutes passed very quickly for the old man and his grandson. Before they had seen enough, they arrived outside the Blue Sea Silver Sand restaurant. Because Ijo was one of the important cities of the Tang Empire, the Blue Sea Silver Sand restaurant was built very high. It had 4 floors and all the windows were of the same color. The first and second floors were windows directly adjacent to the street, while the third and fourth floors were outer cloisters with canopies above. People could come outside to enjoy the breeze while watching the people below. Moreover, there were many courtyards behind the main building of the restaurant, and the price was not low. People who paid a little attention to the restaurant knew that the main dish was seafood. We are here, Do Cheong said to the old man. The old man looked carefully at the restaurant and nodded. He must be a high-ranking official to be able to eat here. His family lives here, and there are other places. I don't know where they are today, so it's not wrong to ask. Do Cheong walked to the door. It was not open now, so there was no sound of people eating inside. Oh. It must cost a lot to stay here for a night, right? The old man felt that he would never be able to stay here for the rest of his life. The restaurant is owned by his family. They don't need to spend money to stay here, so they don't charge for accommodation. The man with Do Cheong explained. The old man was confused. Didn't you say that he is an official? Is he a businessman who lives here? He is an official while doing business. His family was doing business before he became an official. He is the richest family in the Tang Empire. It will be troublesome if he runs out of money one day. His family, Xiao Bao, wants to suppress other businessmen in the Tang Empire. You won't understand even if I tell you. Without Xiao Bao, the Tang Empire will be in chaos with the current development speed. Just remember that they are very powerful and important to us. Okay, that's good. The old man really did not understand. Do Cheong knocked on the door and said a few words to the man inside. Then she came back and said, "You can go in now. We are lucky today. Xiao Bao and his family live here, so you don't have to go anywhere else." Old man, that man just now promised to find someone from the government to help you transfer your hometown to Ezhou. Then you and your grandson can talk to Xiao Bao and go with the people from the government office. The little guy will go to school to study, and you will go to the retirement place. You can work but can't stay idle. You can ask someone to arrange things for you to do for fun. The old man was waiting for this. It was not a big deal for him, but the most important thing was that his grandson could learn to read. He did not dare to think about it before. Learning to read was a promising person. Then he thought of Do Cheong saying that the people from the government office would come. The old man said uneasily, "We will find our own way. There is no need to trouble the government." No trouble at all. The government office in Ezhou is temporarily taken over by Xiao Bao and his family. There are too many idle people. They can't just eat their salary for free. They are like mules. If they don't work, they will be lazy. Old man, don't be afraid of them. If they dare to give you a hard time, you can report them to the telegraph office. Speaking of the telegraph office, you can ask them to help you send a report to Hunan province. Then you can ask the local government to help you find your son. As long as they are in Hunan province, or have been there before, and have worked there before, you don't have to worry about losing them. Do Cheong was not afraid of the officials at all. She led the old man and his grandson into the house while talking. The old man felt like he was in a dream. He could not understand why people were not afraid of officials. When he entered, he saw that it was a big empty room with only 2 tables. He was even more curious about how the restaurant usually did business. Before he could ask, Do Cheong said to him, "Many tables have been removed. We will wait here. Learn from me and raise your arm." After saying that, Do Cheong raised her arm. The 2 people with her did the same. The old man was at a loss, but the child found it very interesting. As soon as they raised their arms, someone immediately came to search them. The knife and coins carried by Do Cheong and the other 2 were also taken away. The old man and his grandson had nothing, not even a change of clothes. The old man understood. It seemed that the person he wanted to meet was relatively timid. He was afraid that they would hurt him. After sitting in the chair, Do Cheong reminded him again, "When you see them later, don't get up or go forward. Otherwise, you will be easily killed in the blink of an eye." "You said that Xiao Bao and Cuckoo were afraid that I would hurt them?" The old man sighed helplessly. He thought that he would not dare to hurt them even if he had 100 times the courage. "What Xiao Bao and Cuckoo? It's Xiao Bei and the others. If it's Xiao Bao and Cuckoo, then you don't have to worry about us. According to the storyteller, the 2 of them are very powerful." That's what the storyteller said. Very powerful. Do Cheong obviously did not understand the terms used in some dialects. For example, when he called others melon, Some people understood the meaning but did not know why he called them that. Moreover, the meaning of praise and derogatory words could not be judged by the literal meaning. It needed to be judged by the person, the expression and tone of the person when speaking. Just as Do Cheong finished speaking, a voice came from behind. Yes, it's us. We can't beat the Lord. In times of emergency, safety first. Ah, this kind-looking old man is the one who wants to talk to us about important information. Haha, there's also a timid little brother. Xiao Bei was the first to come out. He smiled when he saw people. His eyes looked at the old man and then at the little boy who had not seen much of the world. The little boy's face turned red and he lowered his head. He wanted to hide but did not know where to hide. Xiao Yuan and the other 8 people also came out one after another. They sized up the crowd but did not speak. The old man's cloudy eyes lit up. Along the way, he had never seen such a beautiful child. Looking at his age, he should not be much older than his grandson, but he was so much taller. It must be related to the good food he usually ate. This involves military secrets. Unrelated people, please leave. Xiao Bei looked at Do Cheong and the others with a smile. Do Cheong smiled and asked, "You're killing the donkey after it has left the millstone. Where are your brother and sister?" "My brother is sleeping. Yesterday. I won't tell you what happened. My sister went to sleep after eating. We woke up and came to ask first. There will be rewards for not killing the donkey. You guys go to the back. Someone has prepared the seafood. You guys can rest and drink at the same time, okay?" Xiao Bei pointed at the side door and said to Do Cheong and the others. The 3 of them could not ask for more. After greeting the old man, they went out from the side door to eat, leaving the grandfather and grandson behind to talk. Xiao Bei and the others sat opposite the grandfather and grandson. Someone served them fruit juice and pastries specially prepared for the little boy. In front of the old man was tea. "Grandpa, you must have worked hard to come all the way here. Speak, we'll listen. We'll deal with what we can. If we can't, we'll look for my brother and sister. Little brother, eat quickly. Once you reach my sister, you'll be home." Xiao Bei held the cup with both hands and spoke to the grandfather and grandson. The old man was very surprised. He had thought of many things. When he saw people mention Xiao Bao and Cuckoo, he thought about how to say things and not to be afraid. But no matter what, he did not expect that the people who wanted to talk to him were actually a group of children. Although this group of children looked smarter than his grandson, wore better clothes, and were beautiful, he was serious about what he wanted to say. But what he was going to say was a big deal. What was the use of a bunch of children hearing about it? The old man felt helpless in his heart. In the end, he decided to say it. In any case, he would do his best and not worry about anything else. "You're called Xiao Bei? Our place is very far from yours. There is a large area where there are no government offices. There are all kinds of languages. Just like what you said, we also need to go down the mountain to exchange for things to learn. We are poor, and it is not easy to eat salt. The land in the mountain is cultivated, and it does not grow well. There are times when people die when hunting. When we come down from the mountain, we walk north for a day. There is a road. On the road, people go there and then come back. We transport cloth, tea, and salt. When we come back from there, we carry other things. There are animal skins, pearls, and seeds. We can always hear people saying that some group has been killed, or that they can't come back. There are also people who catch slaves. It is very chaotic. We don't have a good life. Do you know?" After the old man finished speaking, he felt that he had spoken in vain. What did a child know? Just like his grandson, it was useless even if they were 1 or 2 years older. Xiao Bei and the others listened very seriously. When the old man stopped, Xiao Bei blinked and frowned. He asked Xiao Yuan, "You're talking about the Silk Road that brother and sister talked about, right? Did the Tang Dynasty's caravans go there?" "Where?" Xiao Yuan couldn't figure out where the old man lived. He said that there were various languages, but did that include dialects? If it was the orthodox language of a race or religion, it would be easy, but there were many dialects. How could he guess? Are you stupid? Of course, I'm talking about the Brahmaputra River that Sister mentioned before. That's because that's the only place where we haven't deployed troops within a year. The road there isn't easy to travel, and the population is small. Furthermore, it's not under our control. If we were to go up there, unless we directly pass through Tubo, it's impossible. With the two of them, old and young, do you think my patrolling guards would ignore them after seeing them? If they were to go further north, I don't think they would be able to come back alive. Look at the clothes they're wearing. Even if they weren't eaten by wild beasts, they would have frozen to death. Xiao Bei said to Xiao Yuan. After that, he asked Xiao Zhu, "Is that Sister Xiao Zhu?" Xiao Zhu nodded. Yes, the location of their house isn't completely under the jurisdiction of Duo. It's under the jurisdiction of India. Actually, India can't control them. What conspiracy can Duo have over there? They shouldn't have taken a detour when transporting things. Isn't it better to walk their own path? After she finished speaking, the 9 children all looked at the old man, waiting for him to answer. The old man was stunned. He looked at the 9 children in front of him and then looked at his grandson. He sighed and said, "It's good to be literate." At this time, the old man's grandson did not eat the pastries or drink the juice. Instead, he lowered his head deeply. Occasionally, he raised his head to look at the girls in front of him. Then, he continued to lower his head in embarrassment. He seemed very uneasy. The old man gently shook his head. He didn't plan to compare his grandson to others anymore. Slightly relieved, he said to Xiao Bei and the others, "When we came out, we heard people say that there were people shouting alala and alala who were exchanging things with others. You guys are talking about Duo, right?" "Yes, there are also people called the Abbasid Caliphate, that's them. Allah is the God in their hearts, just like how Buddhists always say, Amitabha. We plan to attack them immediately. As for the reason was very simple. My brother and sister said that they had something good and we needed it, so we attacked. Their territory is not small. Anyway, even if we don't attack them now, when they feel that they can attack us, they will attack us. Old Grandpa, please continue. What do they want in exchange?" Xiao Bei really didn't want to think of a high-sounding reason. However, the old man felt that this excuse was very good. "I'm better than you. If you have something I need, I'll snatch it from you." "That's right." Then, he said, "Aren't they always there when they are exchanging things? I heard people say that they are going around exchanging things like poisonous snakes and other poisonous things. Other than exchanging things there, they also spend money to find people to help deliver them. Many of the people at the place where we came down from the mountain to exchange things were found by them. They found people and gave money to their families. They told them that they would come back after helping them deliver the things. The things they delivered were a lot of wood in the mountain. I don't think wood is very useful. I don't know what they are thinking." After the old man finished speaking, he nodded vigorously, indicating that he didn't have anything else. After speaking, the old man was no longer in a daze. It was Xiao Bei and the others' turn to be in a daze. They looked at each other and saw confusion in each other's eyes. "What's going on?" Xiao Bei muttered, "Using poison? Going into the river or smearing it on weapons? Putting poison in the river, how much would it take to poison the people who drank the water to death? How would they know when we were going to get the water? It would be gone in a rush. Could it be that they have developed the same chemical weapons as us?" Xiao Yuan chimed in, "Grandpa, do we have an army at the place where you live?" "Ah, yes." "Then it's useless for them to have wood. Don't they know that our artillery can easily destroy walls and camps made of wood?" Xiao Yuan was talking about the previous small-scale skirmishes and training. Occasionally, the Tang Empire would send artillery support, but it wasn't at the place the old man mentioned. It was further north. It was impossible that the news couldn't be transmitted. How could the cannibals not know the power of artillery? Don't think about it. Tell brother and sister to avoid wasting time. Xiao Hai couldn't figure it out and didn't intend to continue relying on the strength of the 9 of them to analyze. It would be very troublesome if they made a mistake. Xiao Bei nodded and said to the old man, "Grandpa, you and little brother wait here. If you want to eat something, get someone to send it here. In a while, someone from the government will come here to handle the procedures for you. We will go find brother and sister first. I believe the information you sent will be very useful to us. We will reward you when we are done." Xiao Bei didn't know if it was useful or not, but he couldn't say it directly. It wouldn't be good to disappoint them. After speaking, the 9 of them got up and left to find brother and sister. Immediately, someone came to ask the grandfather and grandson what they liked to eat. He introduced more than 10 dishes for them to choose from. The old man didn't refuse. He could choose not to eat, but his grandson was hungry. And now he knew very well that Xiao Bao's family was rich, so he couldn't let his grandson suffer. He told the person who asked to arrange a few dishes casually. Then he patted his grandson's head and said, "You must learn well. Did you see those 9 brothers and sisters just now? Learn well and you can be like them. Can you bring that one called Xiao Bei home?" The little boy was obviously more mature and knew a lot of things. He had ideas about Xiao Bei. The old man was shocked and comforted his grandson. "There will be someone better than her in the future. She can't. You won't understand even if I tell you. They are not the same person." The little boy obviously didn't understand the difference in status. He naively thought that everyone in the world was the same. He nodded, but there was a look of disbelief in his eyes. Chapter 1234. Wang Wan naturally did not believe Zhong Xiaobao's nonsense. Not to mention that the palivorous people would not be able to think of such a trick. It would be useless even if they thought of it. International opinion? Who was the international opinion? Even if they found out, they would side with the strong country. After pondering for a while, Wang Wan said to Zhong Xiaobao, "I am not very worried. We have to fight a war, and we have to find a way to achieve results. We are playing a small-scale conflict with them in the north to train our troops, and they are also training their troops. The difference is that we are paying with money to train our troops, while they are paying with their lives. We use artillery to find their weaknesses, so that the soldiers can practice the use of weapons through actual operations. They use flesh and blood to observe the deficiencies in the use of weapons when we attack, so that they can think of a way to deal with it. You sleep for a while, don't worry. When the battle starts, we will use our own methods. They won't be able to cause much trouble. A small-scale conflict is different from a full-scale attack." Wang Wan advised Zhong Xiaobao not to think about it, but she was still worried. There were only 2 points for each method, strategy and tactics. If the palivorous people could use poison to make an antidote, according to the lethality, the poison tactics they developed could directly threaten the rear of the Tang Empire, and it would be a large area. That was a strategic weapon. Throughout history, Wang Wan had not found any race or country that had achieved good results in this area. The research and use of biological poison was not as easy as it seemed, unless it was a virus, but even if the palivorous people were given 100 years, they would not be able to research it. It was not even as good as the plague tactic that Zhong Xiaobao said jokingly. That was the simplest biological weapon, but in terms of use, one had to consider the geographical issues, otherwise, it would be harmful to oneself. Since it was not a strategic weapon, it was a tactical one. There was nothing to think about this. One was the poison that was spread, and the other was smeared on the weapon. She did not believe that they could collect all the poison and then achieve the goal of controlling it in a short time through some special training method, so that they could command the war from a distance. That was too hard to imagine. When Zhong Xiaobao heard Wang Wan say to sleep, he felt a little sleepy. He nodded, lay down, looked at the ceiling, and continued to yawn. Then he said, "Why do you think animals need to rest? How good would it be if they could work all the time? Then, our technological level can be improved even faster." A scientist who could live for 300 years was definitely more useful than 300 scientists who could live for 100 years. This was the gap in the inheritance of knowledge or experience. If we were to invent a drug that would allow people to not sleep for several days and nights, and if the soldiers were to use it, I dare say that we would be able to rule the world within 30 years, no, 20 years. Go to sleep. We're talking about other people's strategies. Why do you have to talk about life and human physiology? Wang Wan felt that perhaps Zhang Xiaobao did not have enough rest and was not in good condition. Zhang Xiaobao smiled and said, "Poisonous things are meant to affect one's physiology. They are either for us or for themselves. I'm actually not worried about them buying poisonous snakes. What I'm worried about is something else." "Chopping and transporting wood?" Wang Wan asked. "Yes." Zhang Xiaobao admitted and said, "But I'm not concerned about the wood itself. Even if they took out agarwood and Phoebe Zhennan, I don't believe that our soldiers would be bribed by them, let alone some local specialty wood. I definitely think that they are chopping wood and transporting it far away just to warm up or burn it into charcoal." "Do you think that there is no wood in that place? Do they have to buy it from the border? Do they need people to help transport it far away, all the way to the place?" Wang Wan's mouth moved, but then she shook her head and said, "Anyway, I don't think they are in the mood to cut down trees to create an artificial barrier at the border. It's not like it's a fire. How many people do they need to create an artificial barrier to stop the enemy from advancing on the battlefield? Hubby, do you think they are using the wood to burn the poison and produce a large amount of poisonous smog that will be blown towards us with the wind and shroud our soldiers?" Wang Wan asked, thinking that she had become stupid. If they really did as she said, how much poison would they need? Moreover, the killing effect was uncertain. It was estimated that it would not be as lethal as the pungent smell. And what if the wind changed direction? Zhang Xiaobao smiled, chuckled, and asked, "Where are the grandfather and grandson who came to report now? Where else can they be arranged?" "First, they eat and rest in the hall on the first floor. When the people from the government come, they will be handed over to the government and let them be in charge. They came all the way here. Even if they are a diplomat from a hostile country, we have to treat them well, let alone a citizen of the Tang Empire. This is not to show grace, but to give myself a shot of confidence. When I express my magnanimity, I give myself a hint, telling myself that I have confidence and don't need to deal with the diplomat. Otherwise, it will be cowardice." Wang Wan poured herself a cup of coffee as she spoke. She glanced at Zhang Xiaobao on the bed and asked, "Are you still sleeping? Can you rest by lying there and talking and thinking about things?" "I'm not sleeping. I'm just lying down for a while. The mental fatigue is gone. I'm just sleeping. That's why people say that people always have something to cling to. The sleepy people cling to the bed, the lonely people cling to the home, and the people who go further away cling to the country. Those who say, 'This place is my home,' are probably helpless. I guess what they really want to say is that the moon is the brightness of the hometown. It's not easy to be a wanderer. For example, the song of the 7 sons that they once sang. Ah, the lyrics are so well written." Zhang Xiaobao was still lying down and talking to Wang Wan. Wang Wan was confused by Zhang Xiaobao's words. "Now, you can either sleep or go to the kitchen to see what you want to eat tonight. Don't be poetic in front of me. To be honest, your literary skills were taught by me later. You are still far from it." "I'm not poetic. I'm emotional and expressing my attitude. I hate people who live on the border the most. You say that they are from our country, but they occasionally feel close to the other side. You say that they are from the other side, but their location is within our country's territory. It can't be said that there is no good person among them, but they don't have much attachment to their country. They will choose based on the strength of both sides and the attitude that they treat them. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's not patriotism. That's waiting to see who can offer the highest price. Back then, there were many places that were under our control in history. Later on, didn't they all establish their own countries? Moreover, they weren't close to us." Zhang Xiaobao's words seemed to carry a lot of resentment. Wang Wan nodded in understanding. She felt that things were indeed as Xiaobao said. Back then, There were a circle of small countries around our country that had all kinds of inexplicable entanglements with our own country. If you directly deny it from the perspective of ethnicity, and the people who originally belonged to the same ethnic group became a minority in the country, denying it was denying your own people. But if you acknowledge them in this aspect, they won't acknowledge you. There are too many problems mixed in between. You have to rope them in, but you also have to keep a distance. AI. With a sigh, Wang Wan said, "Then what's your purpose in telling me this now?" The historical reason in the past was that our country ruled in name, but in reality, no one was there. We couldn't treat them the same as the people in our country. Yes, and you clearly know that they don't acknowledge your country, but you still have to express your acknowledgement of their attitude at the crucial moment. There have been anti-Chinese actions in various places. The Chinese who are bullied in other people's land don't acknowledge you. If you don't help, you are pushing away the Chinese who acknowledge you. If you help, they will think that you are a busybody. It's a mess and you can't explain it clearly. Then, whenever other people are anti-Chinese, you have to stand on the Chinese side. Isn't it cowardly? Isn't it sullen? Zhang Xiaobao sat up from the bed and sighed with Wang Wan. It's a little uncomfortable. According to you, we should now. Wang Wan changed the topic again. What we should consider now is, once the multi-cannibals push the people who are mixed up in the border to the front line, and then they follow behind, should we fire or retreat? Zhang Xiaobao finally said the problem. Wang Wan was shocked, and her eyes widened. Then she said, "You mean, what they want is not the wood at all, but the existence of the grandfather and grandson in our country's territory? Do they want to push our people to the front like the minefields in the movies we've seen before? Yes, they want to cook Lu Bang's father, Xiong Yu. Lu Bang can say, 'You cook my father, right? Remember to bring me the best piece of roasted meat, I want to taste it.' But we can't do that. The people who can help transport the wood are all local strong young people. Behind them are their children, parents, and brothers and sisters. That's why I said it's very difficult. If we don't fire, the enemy will advance. If we fire, we will hit them. Then, the multi-cannibals will spread the news to their families. This is the most difficult thing for me. If it were the people of Sanshui County, I believe that when they know the situation they are facing, they will definitely turn around and fight the enemy, even if they are unarmed. They will give us an accurate attitude, that is, they would rather die in battle than to implicate us. At that time we can... I know. Wang Wan continued, we can let the artillery fire cut off the enemy's contact with the rear, then send snipers to snipe at a fixed point, and immediately order the people in front to immediately put up their bayonets and rush over to our people. But as you said, they are not the people of Sanshui County. They are people that even the government can't send. They can't turn around and launch a desperate attack. They will wait and hate, not only hate the multi-cannibals, but also hate us. Whether to fire or not, it's a difficult choice for us. If we fire, we will lose the people in that area. If we don't fire, they will be treated as cannon fodder, but they will feel that there is hope for survival, and they will help the multi-cannibals to charge at us. It's too cowardly. Wang Wan didn't think that Zhang Xiaobao was talking nonsense, but thought that the possibility was very, very, very high. Chapter 1235. The room fell silent for a moment. Zhang Xiaobao sat on the bed while Wang Wan leaned on the table. The two of them were thinking of a solution. It was obvious why the duo cannibals asked the local youths to help transport the wood. There was a large area of forest there. If they wanted wood, they might as well ask experienced people to cut it down. At the same time, they didn't need a large number of people to go from afar. Obviously, they wanted to trick the hostages and put them in front of the army. Let's see what the Tang army can do. Wang Wan knew very well that the duo cannibals wouldn't be stupid enough to tie the hostages up. The rope was very long, and if the duo cannibals controlled it, there would be enough space between the two groups of hostages. That was something that happened in movies. If that was really the case, they only needed to adjust the shooting angle of the machine gun team, and the hostages in front would lose their function as hostages. Furthermore, they would be successfully rescued. They would definitely send out suicide squad members to carry the hostages forward. Even if they sent out snipers, they wouldn't be able to catch them. Actually, in some cases, we can think that there are no hostages. Just treat them as consumables in the war. At most, we can say that it was an accident. Retreating isn't a good idea. Just fire. Zhang Xiaobao rubbed his face with his hands. It was a bad idea, but at the same time, it was the right idea. How could there be no deaths in war? How many people died in the world's 1 or 2 wars? Not to mention the civilians. Wang Wan shook her head. She didn't want to attack the hostages, even if she had a way to solve the problem of the people's hearts. Send someone over to ask who was hired and tell the families of the hostages that they were tricked into becoming cannon fodder. Tell them how sinister the enemy was and how dangerous the battlefield was. Then find a random reason to make the helplessness of firing the cannon into a movie. Create a strong public opinion and give more benefits to the locals. Basically, no one would suspect that the Tang Empire deliberately fired the cannon. Zhang Xiaobao, who had just said that they would kill the hostages, spoke again. I am very disgusted by the duo cannibals. Just fight the war properly. Why play tricks? Even if they win the war in the end, isn't it an unfair victory? Wang Wan still didn't open her mouth. Her distress was written all over her face. She was pondering what method she could use to rescue him. Otherwise, wouldn't she be admitting that she and Xiao Bao didn't have the ability to face such difficulties? Most of the time, I treat this life as a game. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan stayed silent for more than an hour. Seeing that it was getting late through the window, Zhang Xiaobao got up and went to the kitchen to cook. So I didn't care about anything. But I realized that I was wrong. It wasn't that I mistakenly treated this life as a game, but that I couldn't care less. If we had truly become a person of this era, we would have made the decision to directly attack in the current situation because we had no other choice. Only when we were helpless in the current situation would we truly consider ourselves as a person of this era. That was a form of surrender. Any successful ruler was actually playing a game, enjoying the process, and then obtaining victory. When our bodies and minds were completely integrated into the era, that was the moment when we were powerless. So we never gave in to anything. We always had to achieve our goal. No matter how difficult it was, we had you all the way. While speaking, Zhang Xiaobao had already walked outside and stood at the door. Wang Wan stood up, smiled, and said, Yes, from the beginning, we despised everything in this life. We were immortals. We were geniuses. Not only were we geniuses now, but we were also geniuses at the top of the pyramid in our time. So we cared more about the improvement of the living standards of the people, the happiness of the children, the dignity of the Tang people, and the little things around us. We were playing a grand game, just like the game of Monopoly. We hoped to take every step well. We firmly believed that if we two geniuses worked together, many people would still tremble even in our era. But in terms of conspiracy and intrigue, I trust you more. I believe that you, who could kill a prime minister of a country, can't think of a way to solve a simple hostage problem. What do you want to eat tonight? After speaking, Wang Wan also came to the door and stood beside Zhang Xiaobao, meaning that the two of them would cook dinner together. Zhang Xiaobao lifted Wei Wei's arm. When Wang Wan tacitly reached out to hold his arm, he raised his head, puffed out his chest, and walked toward the kitchen. What do you think of making braised potatoes? The kind with lard. It's the first time I've heard that braised potatoes are made with lard. Not to mention cannibals, even Xiao Bei and the others won't eat them. After a little cooling, the reverse taste of the potatoes and the meaty taste of the pork will make people refuse to eat these two things from now on. Wang Wan also raised her head. As the two of them talked, they arrived at the door of the kitchen. There were already cooks busy inside, because Zhang Xiaobao couldn't cook for everyone. He was only responsible for dinner for his family. Seeing the two of them come over, someone quickly went to check on the single room inside. Seeing that no one else was there, he smiled and said to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, "Young master, you're here. Seeing that it's already late, we were just about to ask you if you'd like us to do it. I didn't expect you to come with the little miss. Do your thing." I'll see what dishes there are. Don't worry about us. Zhang Xiaobao nodded at him and then began to look for things on the shelves in the kitchen's ingredient warehouse with Wang Wan. This is good. Onion. In fact, I've never liked to eat it. And before we came here, our Tang people didn't like to eat it, so it wasn't spread here. Later, we came over by sea. How many detours did we take? Zhang Xiaobao picked up a few onions and sniffed. He didn't smell anything pungent. There was skin on the outside. Wang Wan took it and put it in the basket that she had just picked up at the door. She said, "It tastes good to fry beef and mutton. It's better than green onions. The onions will shrivel up when they're fried. Then count them in tonight. And tomatoes. You'll plant a lot of them today, right? At least they can be sold in several big cities in summer. And chili. Let's have some of them." Good. Tomatoes are really delicious. Zhang Xiaobao picked out chili and tomatoes. He also put the beef packed in cans on the other side of the shelf into Wang Wan's basket. After choosing a few more pieces of beef and mutton, Zhang Xiaobao began to cook. Wang Wan said that she would help. Seeing that the dishes Zhang Xiaobao chose were simple and didn't need fillings and side dishes, she could only stand by and watch. She was closer to each other and gave each other warmth. She wanted to think of a good idea as soon as possible and not directly shoot the hostages. Otherwise, in order to win the war, the hostages would undoubtedly die. But after the war, the two of them would feel uncomfortable and regret. Because the dishes were simple, Zhang Xiaobao made them very quickly. There were cucumber strips that were just marinated, the sauce that he had mixed, a few washed vegetables, steamed rice, and a tomato sauce or juice. After these were done, he began to roast the meat. He cut the meat into small pieces and put them on the iron grate to roast. After a while, the fragrance floated out. He waited for the rice in the pot to be cooked. He heated up the sauce just now and poured it on the rice. Well, there are meat and vegetables. It's nutritious. Because the staple food is a little greasy, it's good for digestion with cucumber. Help take it out. Xiaobei and the others are probably hungry. I didn't hear that they ate any snacks in the afternoon. Zhang Xiaobao divided all the dishes into plates and placed them on 2 large trays. He invited Wang Wan to take one out each. Wang Wan looked at the dishes, her head full of doubts. Smelling it, it was fragrant, but she didn't seem to like it. She guessed that her younger siblings might not be happy eating it either. The two carried the trays to the family room. Xiaobei and the others were already sitting and waiting for the dishes to be served. Each person had a plate of rice, but there were no chopsticks, no knives and forks. The 9 children, who were used to using tableware, couldn't start for a while. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan sat separately so that they could help their younger siblings at any time. Eat. Don't just look. Remember to use your right hand. Zhang Xiaobao said to his younger siblings with a smile. After he finished speaking, he stretched out his right hand and began to grab the rice on the plate. He quickly stuffed it into his mouth and said, "Try not to get your hand in your mouth when you eat. This is a way to eat special dishes." Xiaobei showed her hand and waved it back and forth in front of her eyes. She looked at her brother and found that her brother was not joking. So, she sighed exaggeratedly and began to eat. She picked the side dishes that were not hot. The other children followed suit. Anyway, it was just eating. They believed that their brother would not harm them. Zhang Xiaobao ate a few mouthfuls, picked up the vegetables and dipped them in the sauce and stuffed them into his mouth. He chewed, picked up a cucumber stick, and dipped it in the sauce as well. Xiaobei gradually adapted after eating it a few times. She liked to challenge new food cultures. In the past, she had eaten many kinds of food specially made for her by her brother. Although the salad on the plate in front of her was different from the steak she used to eat, it was still edible. Wang Wan also ate. After eating about 10 mouthfuls, she stopped and looked at Zhang Xiaobao and said, "Why do I feel like this is Indian curry rice?" Definitely not. Indian curry rice has more seasonings than what we eat now. It is almost a hodgepodge of seasonings. If you want to eat it, I will make it for you tomorrow at noon. Anyway, I have nothing to do. Let me tell you, curry tastes the best when it is made by someone like me who has sold 13 spices. It is not an exaggeration to say that very few Indians can beat me. In the end, they became lazy and bought ready-made curry powder. Many people do not know how to make their own curry powder. The faster the times develop, the more traditions are lost. Sigh. They always say that they are a strong country. I am worried about them. Eat it. This is an authentic Arab diet. I plan to carry it forward. Part of it is chili, part of it is not chili. Because I don't know if they can immediately adapt to chili rice. We have a canning factory here, right? Yes, we do. Otherwise, many things that can't be directly transported to Beijing and other places will be a problem to preserve freshness. After dinner tonight, I will ask them to process this kind of canned food. Zhang Xiaobao was not afraid of burning his hands at all. He ate very quickly and could talk while eating. Brother, when you have new things, don't you want to give them to our inner courtyard first? Xiaobei felt that they could eat now, so he did not ask to change the food. But he was very confused. Zhang Xiaobao shook his head and said, "This is not for our inner courtyard. This is prepared for those who lack virtue for 8 lifetimes. I want to add enough barbituric acid, which is the ingredient of the sedative medicine sold in our medical hall now. These bastards are playing tricks on me. I'll let them see what a trick that's impossible to guard against is. I'll let them like to eat this kind of thing first. I'll put in something with caffeine and poppy water. When they're addicted to it, I'll change the ingredients." Zhang Xiaobao needed a way to vent. After cursing fiercely, he continued to eat. After Wang Wan heard this, her eyes lit up. Then, she lowered her head and began to think. Xiaobei wiped his mouth with the napkin in front of his chest and reached out to grab some rice. He stopped there and nodded. He supported his brother and said, "The people who eat more are indeed hateful. They clearly have good resources in their country, but not only do they not sell them to us at a low price, they also don't allow us to go and pick them ourselves. Don't they think about who we are? We are the powerful and highly skilled Tang Empire. We shoulder the responsibility of the beautiful future of the entire human race. If they eat more and stop us, they are going against all of humanity and making things difficult for the world. All right. There are no outsiders here. Put away your tricks." Xiao Yuan could not stand it anymore. How thick-skinned was this person who said such words? Xiaobei, who had found an opportunity to practice his diplomatic speech, was exposed by Xiao Yuan. His face turned red and his body twisted a little. He said embarrassedly, "I'm used to it. From this, you can see how hard it is for me to be a diplomat. I have to pay attention to my image at all times, including my facial expressions and body movements. Do you think it's easy for me? But even so, sometimes people don't understand. They say that I'm just saying clichés and that it's no different from not saying anything. They say that I repeat the same thing over and over again. Is that really the case? Xiao Yuan, tell me." Xiao Yuan shook his head. "No, definitely not. Every word is changed differently, and the meaning expressed is also different. It may seem like clichés, but if you think about it carefully, you'll realize that there's a lot of meaning behind it. Actually, I've said everything that needs to be said. It's just that many people are not educated enough and can't keep up with your rhythm." Although Xiao Yuan did not like to hear Xiaobei say diplomatic words in front of him, he supported Xiaobei. That was a form of wisdom. Unless there were special circumstances, one had to be ambiguous when expressing one's meaning. Otherwise, if one said something wrong, it would leave a flaw for the enemy. How could ordinary people understand the skills of a diplomat and the profoundness of diplomatic words? That's right. Xiaobei freed up his left hand and patted Xiao Yuan's shoulder in praise. He looked like he was saying, "You're not bad, kid. You guys live in such a big place. Your farming skills are not good, and your industrial skills are not good. Your country has a lot of resources, but your military force is not as good as ours. If we don't fight you, who do we fight?" After thinking for a while, Wang Wan smiled and said to the 9 little guys, tell me the truth. Do you like eating the current food? If you don't like it, then don't eat it. Ask your brother to make it again for you guys. Tell me, in order to deal with the Polyeater, he has to make things difficult for us in terms of food, right? The 9 of them looked at each other and instantly communicated with their eyes. Then Xiao Bei said, "Sigh. Let's just make do with it. Fortunately, it was made by my brother. I reckon that if the Polyeater made it themselves, I would have a stomach problem. In the past, we said that Japanese dishes were special, so when my brother made them, we felt that they were not bad. In the end, when we ate the food made by the Japanese, we finally understood that what was good was not the food, but our brother. So, we believe that my brother's plan will definitely succeed. With the delicious handheld rice, it will be like eating for the people on the grassland. The Polyeater will go crazy when they see it." After Xiao Bei said this, his eyes suddenly showed doubt. He asked, "Brother, are we bored? We have cannons and bullets. Can't we just shoot? Why do we have to use a trick on the Polyeater?" The other 8 little guys listened to the movements of their hands at the same time and looked up. This matter started with the grandfather and grandson who came before. Your brother and I didn't guess what the use of collecting the poison was, but the transport would behind them already knew. They wanted to drive our people away. Facing our gunfire, your brother and I were worried sick. But now, your brother has thought of a very good plan. First, send the Polyeater canned food with stimulants for a few days, and then find a suitable opportunity to give them canned food with sleeping ingredients in it. Then, we will solve the hostage problem. Now, we have to send people to all our borders and bring the people there to a safe place. Your brother and I plan to play the game more beautifully. We don't plan to use the most helpless method. Wang Wan stared at Zhang Xiaobao as she spoke, her eyes smiling like crescent moons. A professional was indeed a professional. The quality of a professional swindler never needed to be questioned. He could actually think of a plan in such a short time. People who often schemed against others could indeed face anyone's schemes at any time. After this plan was implemented, there was no need to worry about the Polyeater not falling for it because there would be a supporting operation. Xiao Bao didn't need to say this. He already knew this. The Polyeater tricked the hostages at the border between India and the Tang Empire. Of course, they wouldn't use them on the battlefield in India. Instead, they would move to the place where they stationed troops in the north. Because the information transmission technology was not advanced enough, they wouldn't know that the war would start tomorrow. They would definitely travel slowly. After 10 days to half a month of travel, they would contact the people at the place where they were beaten. Then, they would abandon the useless wood and move forward lightly. They could wait for the first few days before they met up and send special forces to destroy their supplies. Then, they would send troops to the front to stop them. They would push out the hostages, and the interceptors would use snipers to take out a few of them before retreating in panic, leaving behind some supplies. After losing their supplies, they could only check what the Tang Empire left behind and let the hostages try it. After eating, they found that not only were they not poisoned, but they also became more energetic. In the process of praising the Tang Empire's superb technology, they ate with all their might. At the same time, they secretly thought that their own people were smart. This happened a few times. On the night before they said that they were going to regroup with the scattered and regrouped troops, they would take advantage of the time when they were relaxed to give them a can of sleeping pills. While they were sleeping soundly, the special forces would come out and kill them. Everything was solved. Of course, this was their own idea. The specific implementation would depend on the situation at the time. They believed that there would be no problems in general. The hostage rescue plan was like this. No one could guarantee a perfect success, but having a solution and not having a solution were two different things. The 9 little guys pondered and figured out what was going on. So bad. Can't they just fight properly with us? Why do they have to play tricks? I despise such enemies the most. Xiao Bei once again spoke in the name of justice. Eat it. All is fair in war. Xiao Yuan's admiration for his brother and sister was indescribable. When they went to meet the grandfather and grandson, before they could figure out what the information would be used for, his brother and sister had already thought of a way to deal with it. As expected, he had to continue learning. After relaxing, Wang Wan decided to torture Zhang Xiaobao on the bed. Then, she proposed to hold a large-scale singing and dancing performance tomorrow. As for starting a war, it seemed to have nothing to do with her. The capital was one step ahead of Yizhou to understand the sunset at dusk. Li Longji had no idea that something had just happened in front of him that made things difficult for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. He also seemed to have forgotten about the war and walked leisurely on the road to the zoo. Gao Lishe followed beside him and described the progress of the construction in the palace. They would be able to enter in August. At that time, they would have a new mood in the new office environment. Your Majesty, Xiao Bao hasn't sent the plan yet. It needs to be published in the newspaper tomorrow morning. Is it urgent? After Gao Lishe finished talking about the construction, he talked about something more important. With a faint smile on his face, Li Longji walked leisurely with his hands behind his back. From time to time, he glanced at the tourists passing by. Some tourists hurried by, while some recognized the emperor. At first, they were surprised, and then they nervously looked around. On the surface, there were more than 30 tourists following him, but who knew how many were secretly following him? The tourists who recognized the emperor very tacitly made the same choice. No matter which direction they went before and what animals they wanted to see, at this time, they all chose to walk the same path as the emperor to see the same animals. Moreover, they followed at a place that was neither too far nor too close. They didn't want the emperor to talk to them personally. They just thought that protecting the emperor was what they should do. At the same time, they secretly complained, "You don't take more guards with you when you go out. Don't you know that you are going to war? We won't hurt you. What if there are enemies in the crowd? You are cheating us." Many people thought so. While complaining, they were also proud. The emperor dared to walk around in person, which meant that he had a clear conscience. He was confident that he had done what he should do and that the people wouldn't assassinate him. He was a good emperor. Only an emperor with a guilty conscience would be afraid to face the people. Therefore, they had to ensure the emperor's safety. If he was killed and replaced with a bad emperor, how would they live? Therefore, more and more people gathered around Li Longji. They were all vigilant. When they looked at the people around them, they felt that they were enemies and were ready to attack at any time. Li Longji also noticed the situation and smiled warmly at the people around him. He didn't respond to Gao Lishe's words. Instead, he looked at the place in front of him and asked, "Is that the place where koalas are raised?" Gao Lishe helplessly replied, "That's right. Your Majesty, look at the special trees. They are eucalyptus trees. Many of them were transplanted here, but many of them died. However, the merchants who went out to sea would send more than 10 live eucalyptus trees every month to donate to the zoo. Therefore, the zoo has always had eucalyptus trees." This subject was once interested and saw a merchant who was donating eucalyptus trees. I asked him why he spent so much effort and cost to transport the eucalyptus trees over and didn't charge any fees. He said that his identity required him to come to the capital often, and he found that the children liked to carry koalas the most. He said that the name of the koalas was directly translated from the pronunciation of the locals. He said that since the children liked them, he would help raise the koalas. He said that when he went out personally, or when his caravan went out, what he felt the most was not the beautiful scenery of other places but the warmth of the Great Tang. The people of the outside world were never as peaceful as the Great Tang. More often than not, there was war and the displacement of tribes. When traveling, sick children and old people would be abandoned. As long as they didn't seem to be healthy, they would lose the opportunity to follow the caravan. Every time they encountered such a situation, they would help as much as they could and arrange things for them to do in the various camps they had set up. However, he said that it was because he felt pity in his heart, but he lamented the plundering between the people of the region. Thus, he felt that he needed to cherish his country more. Every time, he would painstakingly bring back many things that didn't have much commercial value. He wanted to contribute to his country and seek a trace of peace in his heart. Gao Lishe rubbed his eyes. He was clearly moved by the merchants and also proud of his great Tang. Many years ago, he didn't even dare to imagine that the great Tang would one day be like this. This was true strength, not the strength of the past when he was always fighting others. Back then, the strength came from the will of the emperor. Now, the strength came from an inexplicable strength of the whole. Just like how the vegetation was flourishing, one could feel the arrival of spring from any place. The current Great Tang was like an endless sea. Its strength didn't lie in how high the waves were on the surface, but in the surging waves beneath the water. And this powerful center. When Gao Lishe thought of this, he looked at the emperor beside him and then turned his gaze to the far west. The two people there were the root of this strength. Li Longji also turned his head to the west. He seemed to be looking at the setting sun, but also seemed to be looking at the red sunset. Li Shi, go and find that koala who got sick because no one carried him. Bring him over here. We want to see how this little fellow is doing now. Li Longji ordered Gao Lishe, who thought that he was going to talk about Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. Gao Lishe froze for a moment, then nodded. He quickly walked to the front and negotiated with several people. When he returned, he brought a little girl with him. She was around 12 or 13 years old, and she was struggling to hold a very cute koala bear. Of course, she was also very cute. Her hair was spread out, most of it falling on her shoulders, with only a few strands floating by her forehead. There was a large pink bow on her head, and she was wearing a white princess dress. Perhaps because she was afraid of the cold weather, her parents had put on long, flesh-colored stockings for her. On her feet were a pair of red leather boots with cartoon dog decorations on the front. She was holding Koala, and Koala also stretched out an arm to wrap around her neck. The other hand was holding a eucalyptus tree branch, and from time to time, it would take a bite. Okay, you're only allowed to hold it for a while. I held it first, you're not allowed to snatch it and not return it to me. Little Doo is the most willing to let me hold it. When he walked closer, Li Longji heard what the little girl said to Gao Lishe and couldn't help but laugh. Gao Lishe nodded helplessly and promised. When the little girl stood in front of Li Longji, she reluctantly handed over the little Doo in her mouth. Her eyes were fixed on Li Longji, as if she was afraid that the other party would snatch her toy and not get it back. She had a hard time holding it, but Li Longji was much more relaxed. It was not heavy, and it was not easy to make it too heavy. Koala was very easy to talk to. As long as someone was holding it, it didn't care who was holding it. When it was wrapped in Li Longji's arms, it felt that this person did not need to be hugged, so it grabbed the eucalyptus tree branch with both hands and slowly ate it. It was Li Longji's first time holding a koala, and he finally understood why so many people liked this kind of small animal. It was really too fun, just like holding a quiet child. It's furry and looks like the cloth dolls sold by Xiao Bei and the others. Those who don't know would really treat it as a dead object. Let me see, as expected, with makeup, someone will hold it. Li Shi, why do you think koalas like to be held by people? Li Longji looked at the little animal in his arms and asked Gao Lishe. Your Majesty, not all koalas like to be held by people. Wild ones are not good, they have to be in contact with them for a period of time. There is a comparison between people, and it is the same between animals. It sees others of its kind being held by people, but it is not held by anyone, so it naturally gets sick. Gao Lishe explained. It's like raising a dog. You are good to one dog, but the other dogs are not comfortable. Girl, its name is Little Doo? Li Longji lowered his head and said to the little girl who brought the koala. The little girl did not answer immediately, but kept blinking her big eyes, looking at Li Longji in surprise, then turned to look at Gao Lishe and asked Gao Lishe, what did you call him just now? Your Majesty? Gao Lishe nodded. Uncle Emperor, you should have said so earlier. If I had said earlier that Uncle Emperor wanted to hold Little Doo, I would have already sent it over. Uncle Emperor, it's actually not called Little Doo. Its original name was Tong Tong, but Pang saw that its eyes were sunken in a lot, and its color was not good, so he called it Little Doo. When I was angry, I called it Little Doo, Uncle Emperor, who gave it a good name. The little girl seemed to be very smart, guessing Li Longji's identity from a name, and did not forget to ask for the emperor's support. Little Du is good, very good, Li Longji said. Not to mention that this name was very cute. Even if it was unpleasant, he had to follow the little girl's words. Otherwise, what if he made her cry? I've always thought so. When I go back, I'll tell Heir Pang that the name was decided by Uncle Emperor. If he dares to disagree, I'll find the authorities to arrest him and punish him for 10 days. No, 5 days. He won't be able to eat anything from my precious candy house. The little girl was very happy that she had obtained the emperor's approval. In the future, she could bully the second fatty that she spoke of. From the clothes on the little girl's body and her words, Li Longji understood that she was not born in an ordinary family and was definitely a child of an official. If she was from a merchant family, then her family was too powerful, because the bow on her head was specially made by Xiao Bei and the others as a gift to the officials of the capital. To be able to get the bow from the hands of an official, what price would a merchant have to pay? The brackets of this bow were made of gold, and the sparkling things inlaid on them were diamonds. It was very expensive to make, and the production was very small. Each bow had a number on it, and the design was also unique. All right, I will definitely punish him. If he dares to say that he is not called Little Du, how old is this girl? What's your surname? Li Longji said with a smile. 11 years old. Do you think I look 13 years old? I specially dressed up, because little fatty is 12 years old, and he calls me little sister. I'm not young anymore, so I become 13 years old, and when he sees me like this, it's very funny. My face is like that, just like that, do you understand? The little girl said with a smile. I know. Is it like that? Li Longji cooperated and made a depressed expression, causing the little girl to repeatedly nod her head. Li Longji's eyes reddened as he looked at the little lass's appearance. He thought of the past. In the past, most of the girls her age were already married, and there were even more who were engaged. They had to mature early and couldn't enjoy the childhood that belonged to her like the one in front of him. Now, if a girl wanted to marry, she had to be over 18 years old. More often than not, it was according to an unintentional requirement, which was to have children at 20 years old. During this period of time, they could go to school, play, and have countless stories waiting for them. The people who caused all of this did not seem to have a childhood. They left their childhood to others, and they had to learn many skills from elementary school. They had to govern a region, lead troops, manage countless industries, and participate in the imperial court's orders. If you ask where your heart is, you will obtain the world's love. Wei Li Longji shook his head and smiled again. He looked at the little girl in front of him and felt that she was so happy. She could play to her heart's content, while the people who could make her like this were planning a grand war. Uncle Emperor, my surname is Liang, and my father is the county magistrate of Wanyan County. The little girl didn't know what her Uncle Emperor meant, but she remembered that her Uncle Emperor had asked her 2 questions. Li Longji nodded. Oh, your Uncle Emperor knows that your father is Liang Yudao, the county magistrate who always says, listen to Xiao Bao right? Yes, that's right. Uncle Emperor, you remember my father. My father is from Zhenjia, right? Your Uncle Emperor must remember everyone who comes out of that place. Tell Uncle Emperor, how has your father been recently? Li Longji helped the little girl solve the problem of not being able to remember. Zhenjia was a legendary academy, which was even more powerful than the Imperial College, the highest academy of the Tang Empire. Even the people of Jixin Academy did not dare to say that they could compete with all the students there. The little girl was happy at first, but then she shook her head. It's not good. In the past half-month, my father has been sighing and saying that there is a big contradiction between the speed of economic development and the proportion of people who have resources. He has said it many times, but my mother and I don't understand. We just remember it. Uncle Emperor, you are very, very powerful. Can you tell me what is going on? I went home and told my father that my father has lost weight. My mother advised my father not to think too much, but my father. But your father is from Zhenjia. It is impossible for him not to think about it. It has become his instinct. Can you go back today? If you can, tell your father that tomorrow, everything will be fine tomorrow. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo are also waiting for the sun to rise. Li Longji said to the little girl. Even if he did not know what would be in tomorrow's newspaper, he believed that the news would come in a while. Otherwise, it would be too late to print the newspaper and spread it to various places. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.